So I went all the way down to the trap in ATL. Oh yeah, so I let T.I., you know what I'm saying, to see how they do it. Cause I know how we do it in the hood and the N.O. It's street, it's real street. I've been a street nigga my whole life. I was raised in them, wild out, flighted for nights and days in them. Nigga, I played in them, I told the kids in them. In 7th grade, I started trying to get paid in them. If you ain't real, you ain't gonna be safe in them. Bitch niggas get jacked and they hoe get raped with them. I done saw niggas get stabbed and shot dead in them. No reppin', I bust my share heads in them. Leave caught niggas down bad and bust lead in them. The streets getting flaky cause not a feds in them. Putting pressure on busters, getting info from them. Niggas telling it all when it's coming and who from them. Damn, that's fucked up. The streets that change. These bitch niggas straight poison in the game. But Jizzle can't change the streets, that's me. I live and die by the street rules cause I'm a G. I'm a street nigga. A street nigga. That's what I've been and that's what I'm gon' be, nigga. I'm a street nigga. A straight street nigga. I was taught if I'm a play like a G, nigga. I'm a street nigga. A street nigga. That's what I've been and that's what I'm gon' be, nigga. I'm a street nigga. A straight street nigga. I was taught if I'm a play like a G,
nigga. A nigga thorough as they come. Was raised in the gutters in the slum. Known as the number runner son. And the dope man nephew who uncle on the run. The candidate grandbaby hustle for the fun. The yeah was sold daily from the dust to the chrome. Like easy in the 80s, nigga stayed in the sun. I swore I'd never run, so I stayed with a gun. I kept my little 380 with the blade to the sun. All I fit with God, play my card, how it come. I'ma stand like a man till it's all said and done. And that's even if they run niggas, cause I know I run with a clique of wild, misguided, underprivileged young niggas. Give a fuck who you is or where you from, nigga. You can get it, we taking over the city. I was raised in the belly of the beast, to say the least. My role model was doing time, so I learned from the streets.
I'm a street nigga. A street nigga. That's what I've been and that's what I'm gon' be, nigga. I'm a street nigga. A straight street nigga. I was taught if I'm a play like a G, nigga. I'm a street nigga. A street. Yeah, nigga, yeah. Shit real round here. Yeah, nigga, yeah. Shit real round here. If you want it, you can get it, my nigga. Shit real round here. If you want it, you can get it, my nigga. Shit. Look, if you ain't know, ask somebody, they'll tell you about me. Nothing fake, nothing flawed, nothing bitch about me. I'm a G, I've been running these streets since a youngin'. Since 14, I've been bugging, slaying heat, ain't nothing. You won't be, say something, you could get it, I ain't tripping. One song, just know you better not let me catch you slipping. Cause whatever we need, I'ma smash ya. Broad daylight around the club, I'ma get at ya. If you let me tip down on the nigga, you chapter, I guarantee you that it's gonna be a closed casket. I'm about this, what's understood don't need to be explained. For the money or the fame, I was a gangster in the game. I ain't lying when I tell you about me and my background, about me and my lifestyle. I ain't never back down, I ain't never froze up, I ain't never turned state, I ain't never missed when I emptied the clip out the K, nigga. However you want it, nigga, you could get it, cause shit real. It's get it how you live. However you want it, nigga, you could get it, cause shit real. It's get it how you live. However you want it, nigga, you could get it, cause shit real. It's get it how you live. However you want it, nigga, you could get it, cause shit real. It's get it how you live. It's never die, do what you did, nothing less. Fuck with the kid, get two to the head, two to the chest. Nigga, I'm the best when it come to this street shit. You got your hands full fucking with me with this beef shit. I be on some all night flight, no sleep shit. Me, my dog, and 2Ks, fuck that police shit. We coming with it, 100 rounds drumming with it. You running from it, we running with it. You bitch ass niggas ain't fucking with it. I'm out here, head first, ready to go head up. Walking with your head down, bound to get your head bust. Hit the feds, come, I'm off the scene, off the block. I know the bus move when it get hot. Shut down the shop, open up another on the other side of of town, got yeah and I got pounds. Jizzle was a hustler and a heat buster, all in one. Don't get it twisted, I do this rap shit for fun, you heard? However you want it, nigga, you could get it, cause shit.
Okay. Yeah. Man, I swear to God, those little two opening little clips of mine that it's like speaking my life. It's my shit right there. Sorry I lost my voice. It's been hard on the girl. Like my new little name. Yeah. It's probably kind of like in my one of my many altars. But to call myself the Black Villain of the Black Imperial Army. That's what it says. Um, yeah. It's kind of like the statement. Um, I don't know. I was just being it's kind of like like sometimes I just be throwing up some shit. Call me Slim Bigum Sunday, and this is kind of be funny, but this isn't funny. This is more like the beginning of the next little piece that I'm going to be coming with later. We come with a new channel, a new podcast. Excuse me, broadcast when I have a chance, and this is my name. This is all the name that I'm gonna predominantly be using for the most part, just for my own amusement. Because it's true. Black Villain. um, yeah, this is actually the Black Villain of the Black Imperial Army. Shout out to Twinsy from the Frontline Black News Frontline Campaign, Romel Understanding, who's our political prisoner in Colorado Springs. So yeah, it's important. I'm creating something you'll see later on. It's kind of different. Not really different, but different. Something still very pro-black, very black first, and very codified. Almost very high level or high energy, high level consciousness type stuff. That nobody really knows about. So, I'll probably be going over probably the same things, but just different stuff. Well, I don't want to give away too much, because I like to try to maintain my own intellectual properties about stuff. Gotta learn some things, and yeah. But I was kind of in a mood the other day, and I put it up there during Frontline Black News. Nobody really got to see it, so that was kind of funny then. And so, yeah. What are we going to talk about today? Sorry, it's been a long time. Seems that I've done an RVA. Been super busy. I'm not going to do too much talking because I pretty much held the last 3 hours of Frontline Black News down. And I guess he fell asleep. Would have ended, but God. Anyway, I didn't have no control over that section of that portion. I didn't have no control over that. I do have control over here. So that's what happens, I don't know. I don't want to get into it, Ellie. But I don't want to get into that. That's why I say that I have access to this because I had to create it so that I can do the RVA. I don't know what to talk about. Now, in hindsight, I had done something today. I did something very, very interesting today. And in the midst of my little good deed, I gave somebody something tangible just because I felt like it. In the midst of providing such a tangible, I was in the I was having a clarifying moment because I was giving context to the tangible and how it all relates, and in that, because nobody, Harold sleeps on the doll. They sleep on me. People treat me like shit. So they don't really, power's taken, respect taken. It seems like respect is given, right? Yeah, it's different. It's different. Um, it's kind of like you gotta take it too. I can't depend or wait on anyone to give me my flowers. I can't wait for anybody anywhere to see what I'm talking about. And kind of had a little moment of clarity um, on Frontline Black News last, like when he just said it, like a couple hours ago, as I was talking about P Diddy. I had a moment of clarity, and kind of like just whoa. Well, if we only knew this, if we were really operating in this function, and now it all makes sense. Well, I had a moment of clarity, and I actually, oh God, like I don't want to give it away because what I do for people, it's like a secret, you know. So I don't want to give anything away. So no one asks me shit, so nobody knows shit. Nobody likes me, so nobody talks to me, right? If you only knew the amount of shit that I could that I know, or that who or what, or what I have resource access to, because I've earned it, or because I paid my dues to the world, or whatever. You only really knew. Well, nobody really knows because nobody knows, and it's one of those things. The rule of thumb is, I didn't see you, you didn't see me, and this never happened, right? That's how I kind of operated my whole life. Meaning, like, I could float within different types of things because nobody knows me, nobody sees me, and it never happened because that's the rule. Meaning that was supposed to be like the rule that limited everything from gossiping, snitching to fucking whatever. You know what I mean? Somebody said, "Hey, did you see so and so?" The answer's supposed to be no, right? Hey, did you hear that so and so? No, right? Oh, I heard that so and so was with you. No, it's always no, right? That's supposed to be the rule of thumb. Well, actually, it's supposed to be. I guess how I can say it now is that's been my moral code of compass, my moral compass upon being out in the world as living how I've had to live. Um, I've kind of been like operating on that. So all the things that I've learned, or what I've learned, or who I know, or what I've done for people has always been surrounded by that. And so, you know, when you sometimes you have really excellent resources and you save them for rainy days. Like if you really fucking need help and you've paid your way, you've earned that fucking 110 favors, out there just sitting there. Anything you need one day type moments. You've really fucking earned them because you really did do whatever was necessary to make somebody's life happen. And it just happens to be I'm one of those motherfuckers, right? And nobody knows, nobody cares, nobody ever asks me shit. So I don't just be volunteering information. And when I do volunteer something, it's on a prolific level, like out of nowhere, that I might have insight on. And because of that, I think, and then, so in essence, it's always like I always have to, like, I just gotta prove myself or whatever. So when I do good deeds for others or whatever I do, it's because I want to, or I can, or because I want to, you know. Um, I'd say I've stacked up. I rainy day piled myself some nice little motherfucking if you ever need type shit. or whatever you need one day, if you ever kind of favors. Um, yeah, if I stacked up a good fucking 200 solid fucking anytime, anywhere, any place, no matter what it is, I got you type situations. Say favors, right? Like somebody one day will help me, right? If I ever tapped into that, and I don't because I shouldn't. It's when you do something for someone, it shouldn't be like that, and you shouldn't have to be wondering one day if I'm ever gonna ask you for it. You know what I mean? Or am I ever gonna force you to give it back to me or fucking do something for me? So it kind of felt like, well, maybe if I ever really truly needed something or really, really, really wanted something to happen, maybe I'll just ask and see. And I really didn't, I just kind of like, mm-hmm, okay. And I think I utilized maybe maybe one or two of those favors so far. I didn't really think it was gonna help me. Like it was actually gonna work, and it did. It really did. But it's for something serious or for someone else, or it's usually I use one of those little emergency favors or one of those little favors. I would say those little favors, one day type things for someone else once. And again, um, I could, it's whatever. Just gotta stack them up in my mind, thinking maybe if the opportunity arises or something, and I can't do it myself or whatever, maybe. But nope. So um, a lot of shit I have inside baseball on, or just can or know or what, and because the last couple of years have been so fucking upsetting on different levels. I guess it's kind of just stifled my fucking confidence about some shit. And then I really felt bad, and then I felt like this and that, really oppressed. So my energy is just like my light's gone. So now I don't even know if I could get it back. My internal light, my internal energy is just like, fuck, I'm tired now. I don't want to fight no more. Like I don't want to keep doing it. Yeah, you didn't see then, you're not gonna see it now. So, you know what I mean? Like, I'm tired. So, this next little portion, the next little broadcast, is gonna be special because it's gonna be for me to be whatever I want it to be. Um, it's gonna be different. It's gonna be something ambitious. I'm using it for something else later that I want to do with my life. So I'm gonna use it later, but it's gonna be for me. I think that I've never taken care of me. I did for others, and nobody takes their like everybody takes it for granted. And I guess I'm tired. So now after in a little while, it's gonna be for me. I mean, a little while, like within I don't know 2 months, it's gonna be for me. Because power's taken. It always seems like I'm gonna have to take it, and I don't want to. Um, but hindsight, I'm one of those people that have high fucking energy, super, super. I'm a fixer. I'm an Aries. I live in Aries energy, so yeah. I'm tired of trying to fucking simmer that down and change and shit for everybody. It is fucking disgusting. It's like everything, and it's always I gotta simmer down. That was one of those things. Or I'm not. It's simmer down and like really really stifle some shit. So it has caused a lot of fighting within myself, and then it turned to the worst shit. Um, it turned to like something I don't even recognize anymore. So now I don't even think I could get back to what I was before. So we'll see. We shall see in this new adventure coming in a few months maybe. We shall see. I must remain kind of. This is a Pepsi challenge. Maybe I can bring it back. Maybe, maybe. Right now it's like, ugh, I don't know. I'm kind of not feeling it. Confidence is low, and that's the fucking rare thing. Because I'm super confident normally. Now I'm like, I'm not confident. So, something happened, and doubt has been placed, and I've never been that way. But now, because of the belligerent changing of my nature to just to uh, exist, it seems, created doubt, and they created the low vibrational confidence, which is not me at all. So it's almost like a ticking time bomb because I'm stuffing my nature somewhere, and it just blows up anytime, weird times. So this has to be out. That's what happens to fire. Fire just can't just be put out like that. Um, Anywho, I had some prolific moments in this little favor or this little tangible I provided. I was like, oh fuck, hell nah. I've been eating this blame for fucking nothing. It isn't even my fault. I was like, because nobody asked me, nobody talks to me, and everybody hates me. I never really got to talk about what I now know after on this campaign. You know what I mean? So it's like, oh my god, I've been eating this plane for like every. It's never been my fucking fault. Upon thinking and explaining this little tangible I provided, it was like ding 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 ding. Oh yeah, it has nothing to do with me. It really doesn't. But it just looks like it's my fault. It's not my fault at all. Just like sliding. After I was like, oh man. So in providing this tangible, because I can't, I fucking had a fucking true moment of clarity. And I was like, and then that I did, and it was like, fuck, this whole fucking time, none of this shit is really my fault. Like, I shouldn't even be blamed for your statement. You know what I mean? I now know the actual fault of the process, or why it happened, why the mayoral campaign thing happened. You know what I mean? With mayors, the Jesse's running for mayor. Now I fucking get it. I was like, oh, oh, wait, oh, now I get it, because it took going through that, right, and coming and working on this motherfucking for Jesse's running for campaign again over here for a state seat, right? And the differences in what's happening. It was like, oh, and then watching this election shit, I was like, oh my god, now it's all making sense. Nothing really. I didn't even know why. Thankfully, we've been on this fuck the Democrat shit for like the last year or two. Right? Let that whole duopoly fucking just burn in hell. Luckily, that has offered the best fucking perspective of what has happened. And now I get it. Now I fucking get it. Now I get it. Now I understand why it happened. And what happened. And why it happened. And who did what to what. And why it happened. Now I understand. And it all leads to democratic shills. Uh-huh. The fucking Democratic Party. Yep. Plain and simple. That's it. That's all. And because of that, that's why he didn't make the ballot. That's why he didn't get any real numbers. Um, Unlike the first time when he ran for um, city council, where he was doing well, it was different then too, a little different I think. But he made the ballot that time. This time was like, oh no, bro. You know, what I mean? It was a major shutdown, like major shutdown. Like it was really fucking disturbing. But upon giving this other tangible away, I figured it out, and it only happened because of all the shit we're watching now and all the shit I learned in this last since that last time, since that last election and the mayoral shit. I was like, you know what? Ah, and it was so fucking clear. It's like ding, 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 and explaining this fucking tantrum. I was like, I've been eating this motherfucking blame and taking it on like, and it literally destroyed us. Like, it has literally destroyed us. We hate each other like that kind of shit, you know? Some days. So combative. Now it makes all the motherfucking sense of the world. And you know, in reality, it's too late now, but in reality, if we would have known what we know now, that this was all intentional and this was done on purpose, the mayoral campaign part, the mayoral one, and intentionally fucking destructive to his being, to him, shaming, all that shit intentional. Did it on purpose. They did it on purpose. You know what I mean? Like intentionally. I don't think we would if we knew now. If we know it would, or if even if he knows what I know now, I don't think. I think we would have been better prepared. Maybe we would have. It would have never got to this ugliness it is now. You know what I mean? The whole time I've been like, oh, fine, it's my fault. It isn't my fault. None of this fucking shit is my fault. Actually, it's the opposite of that. Like, and then I have to look at, you know what? I did make a motherfucker mayor. The white boy co-opted my whole fucking shit. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, so I did do it. And it's like, look, motherfucker said I couldn't do it, right? I did. I did. You know what I mean? And the whole time I was like, doubting myself the whole fucking time. Shit, it was like so fucking ugly. This is so fucking disturbing. But upon typing it all out, it's very therapeutic. Thank you. Whoever got that tangible, thank you. You know, very fucking therapeutic for me because I was like, oh, ding, 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 ding. I did do what I said I was going to do. It just didn't happen for you. It was stolen. It happened for him. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? But I did do what I said I was going to do. Mm-hmm. And it reflected in the first 6 months, minus the immigration shit. Because if we wouldn't have done that, the Paris plan didn't uh, do that. That would have been a fucking major pause and a fucking stop to the fucking sanctuary city policy. Because, yeah, I'm about that. Because it was just, no, hell no, nah, that's too much. I mean, I wouldn't have been Denver wouldn't be a sanctuary city for migrants if Jesse would have won. It would have been like, well, maybe a couple here and there. See what we can do after we take care of our black people first, type shit. But it would have been a hard pause. Like, don't make us hold up these buses like hell nah. We're in the process of pausing. Hard pause. No. No. Not gonna flood this shit. I got one thing to deal with first. That's our unhoused neighbors and black fucking black people come first of the unhoused neighbors type situation, the most vulnerable. So yeah, like it would have been different. It would have been definitely fucking a little. I would have been different with the migrant situation for sure, for sure. And a lot of these motherfucking processes that are still active during this administration now would not be active because I would have scrapped them. If it was like that, I would scrap the cronyism and the corruption of the fucking money. You know what I mean? There's a lot of things that I've been fucking sitting there making changes on, you know, policies and whatnot, the language of it all. Yeah, so I did do it. I just didn't do it for you, and because it didn't happen that way. So in my mind, I was like, I didn't do it for someone else. It's just they stole it. You know what I mean? And ran off with it and did it like it was theirs. So I didn't know about that. That was my intellectual property. So watching my intellectual property just fucking just grow on right in front of me on the news infuriated me. It infuriated me. So I did do it. Like I worked that motherfucking hard. Like I was so fucking upset. That all that shit had happened. I've been eating that. I've been taking that blame hard up until just 2 hours ago. I took that blame and I fucking did this campaign again. So better. Like I got better at it. This shit looked way different than the other one, than the mayor one. Matter of fact, he went so even extra more serious about it because fuck, he blamed me for it. He blamed me like it was really my fault. Like I just destroyed his whole fucking life. And it really had nothing to do with me. Not a fucking thing. This is intentional. You know what I mean? It was like, no. First, no. You want to do black things for black people, and you're not even a Democrat. You're an independent. Fuck no. That's what they did him. That's how they did him. That's exactly what happened. Every fucking pack of signatures we turned in, they kicked back half of them. Even though we did our due diligence, like we double checked, we knew they were good. Yeah. They fucking kicked them back. Why? Because the elections department who goes over that is a Democrat that's connected to another shill. The shill starts out the energy with no, with the actual unacknowledgement in our community of his actual campaign. Then it goes to, because I'm like, man, fuck it, I gotta figure out strategy, right? Because I'm a strategist. For real, I play like, you think about games like strategy, like Battleship. Me and my brother, I'm live, me and my brother played Battleship for years by ourselves, right? This motherfucker creates strategy. Like all day long, I'm a strategy person. I have ideas and fucking you tell me something, I got a plan in fucking 10 minutes, 10 different ways of how I'm gonna do it. But this way, because once the shutting started, when he announced, and the disrespect started from one shill, little did I know at that time that that's how it was gonna happen. The whole fucking thing started lose steam because it was like every fucking turn. You know what I mean? We couldn't get no support. We couldn't get no help because it's Democrats that are in the seats, meaning all these people are shills. So you can't ask them or do anything. You can't get them to help you when you've helped them. The shit wasn't reciprocated. Just like Jesse working on all these motherfuckers putting people in office, right? And they wouldn't turn around and help him. They wouldn't return the favor. You know what I mean? So it ended up being like, fuck. And I'm doing all this shit to keep everything happening and stay current with what's going on with the new black media so that later on in life, when he is ready, new black media can vet him for real, right? You don't see that. He's not seeing any of that. All he's seeing is epic failure after failure. Then he's not on the ballot, making him a write-in, and then fucking motherfuckers just not letting him debate or go to forums because he's not on the ballot. That there killed everything. And because of that, I was still like, nah, fuck this shit. We're still motivated, right? And fuck that shit. We're just gonna do this way. We're gonna go old fashioned with it. on the way we get the message out. And we did that. And in that, even in that, my work is only specifically for black people. Like, that's just a known fact. I only do things for black people. That's a real fact. My flyers were only in black pants. What did black people do? Pass it off to the white folk. And that's the thievery. Two people stole my shit. One made a whole commercial. One made a whole fucking commercial. And the other one became the mayor. What the fuck, right? Oh my God. And the whole time, that shit stressed me and fucking Jesse out to the fucking max. Because we're being intentionally disruptive, trying to push our way onto these motherfucking forums and debates. Just getting shut down. It's no, no, no. You're not on the ballot. You can't even talk. No interviews, no nothing. It's like, fuck, cuz. And it looks like it's my fault. And in reality, none of it was my fault. After this therapeutic little tangible I just gave, I now understand. It had nothing to fucking do with me. And he blamed me for no reason. It destroyed our whole relationship. This is where we're at now. Round 3 for him, round 2 for me. Get it? Democrats, guys. Democrats. Fucking Democrats. That's another reason why, like, not knowing that me being, like, independent, right? I was like, I'm a third party candidate person because we were independent. Been independent. I've been independent for at least as long as my dad's been independent, which my brother's dad. Like, I want to say at least, I want to say 10 years, but don't quote me on it. It's been a good while though, because fucking Democrats are stalking me, telling me the last time I was a Democrat. I find that inserting myself in democratic processes for inside baseball type shit, that shit right there was extremely helpful now that I think about it, because now I see the game on this campaign. This campaign's different. I was like, man, the whole time I'm working so fucking hard on this campaign, on this HTA campaign. I mean, stupid fucking hard. Like, I mean, I'm doing like the most, just trying to say, no, it's not my fault, man. Look, let me make it up to you. Maybe I didn't. Okay, fine. You weren't the mayor. I said you're still the mayor of my heart, motherfucker. You always be the mayor to us. God, calm down. Let me make it right. Whole time. No, it wasn't me. It had nothing to do with me. He'll never get it. So the problem is, the process is like, I was overworking this time again, and I'm like, after this little therapeutic moment, I was like, now he has a chance, but it doesn't matter, really. It's all how somebody uses magic, right? But I was like, man, please, it's like belligerent fighting around here during this election, during this campaign, and really, this is an intentional setup for me, because I was like, man, up until like the remaining 60 fucking days, dude, you're gonna have to go hard. Like, I did my portion. I obligated myself to this, and this, because the last one, I felt like it almost killed me, because I really did the motherfucking work. Two people, you know what I mean? And because if you want to have black things, you gotta stay black. You gotta be around black things. You gotta be black. You know, think black first, right? So, yeah, I wasn't gonna let so much going on. Say it couldn't be possible, but it is possible. It's very possible. You know what I mean? So I worked so hard, and I ate that fucking shame and blame like it was fucking, like I had to. And after this last little 2 hours, was like, cause none of that shit's my fault. And none of this shit, this one, is going to be my fault either. Because I made sure that it's possible that it's not on me. It's not on me. Um, it's not on me. Now that I really realize that, I made it possible so that um, he can do the rest. You know what I mean? He can have he can get himself there. Um, because I really think that fuck, he needed a chance. Like now that I understand what happened, I was like, why the fuck did I work so fucking hard? Like, why did I work so hard to prove it this time again? And I was like, man, you know what? I'm just gonna slow down and say fuck it, like just slow down, like, because to me it's all about the forums and the debates. So I'm working on this last little piece, this last little piece, and then I already I already dropped the gauntlet and asked the bride for a fucking couple of little debates. So she has yet to answer. I'm gonna keep asking. You know, just because here in the state of Colorado, it's Democrat led, and motherfuckers just want to act stupid and ignore the third party. So no, not on my watch. And I was like, I'm so fucking disruptive. It's disrespectful. So yeah, no, he's gonna do something. I want her to at least shake it and fucking be upset about this. I don't give a fuck about these other things. It's up to the people. The third party is the people's choice. The third party is the people's choice. And if the people know what's going on, the people can make a decision on their own. They don't have to be forced to fucking go with cosplay and a motherfucking tyrant. They can choose something else. You dig? So this time, the people can choose instead of putting a motherfucking colonizing Democrat for real in the seat because they got the war chest, or they could choose motherfucking codified, gonna do the work and actually create change. For real, a little masculinity up in that seat. That's how they can go. That could really happen. They can really put the people in the people's seat. You dig? Not some motherfucker that's sliding in on their fucking white supremacy and their privilege of fucking whatever, colonizing privilege. No, you're gonna get the people, the man in the city. You know what I mean? That's what should happen. That's how that should be played. Now that I've seen all of that, it caused me to want to go write another little thing, stick it on the website. Because now I understand what happened. Now I get it. Now it's like, oh man, it's my fault. The fuck was that? Nothing to do with me. I've been eating this motherfucking blame for like a whole year. Fuck that. That shit's over with now. My mind and conscience is clear. It's all about Democrats, cuz. All about the fucking Democrat and the Democratic shield. And the Democratic shield that has influence, and the Democratic shield that sits in the positions and that, your signatures have to go through. It's all about the Democratic shield. Yeah, yeah, that's what that's about. And everybody who's a Democrat not being able to do the things they're supposed to do morally because you did it for them. That's all that's about. The Democratic fucking party not being reciprocated or fair or even or for the people. That's what that's about. That's exactly what that was about. And if I didn't provide this tangible, I would not have that clarity. So, yeah. um, it was pretty fun. I just had a whole moment. So, upon that, now that I had that whole moment, it's too late to fix certain things, and she got ugly for no motherfucking reason. Now in hindsight, it's too late. Things are like, I don't know if they could ever go back to how I wanted them to be. Um, however, we shall see. So I decided to build myself some ambition, and just in case, because I think it's important. It's very upsetting, and I don't want to. So we'll see what happens. Um, I just feel pretty proud of myself though, because I did set out to do something. I did make somebody in marriage. It just happened to be stolen. You did, and it happened to be out there. I did do something. You know what I mean? So it just didn't go to where it was supposed to go, because that's how racism and white supremacy works. That's how Democrats work. That's a shilling. That's the whole process. You'd have been the mayor if somebody wouldn't fucking handed off my motherfucking black flyer to a white man. Twice. Two separate white men. Huh, Jesse? Yeah, two separate white men. Jesse would have been the mayor. All that shit you see in the news for the first 6 months, minus the immigration shit, has to do with us, part of our policies and stuff. Aside from a couple other fuck things too. Um, but like the housing and stuff like that, and there's a whole bunch of different things that um, they stole and went forward with. No, put that back in. I don't need it right now. Thank you though. Um, he stole it. You know, so I did do it. It's just a okay, hold on a second. It's just the magic. Thank you. It's that the magic went somewhere else because it wasn't intentional. Some black person handed it to a white motherfucker. My shit only goes in the hands of black people. My work does. You know what I mean? So that wasn't my fault. I didn't do that. And like most white people, they steal shit. That's what happened. But I feel like I made him a promise, and I did keep my promise. It just was stolen from him. You did. Oh, that whole time, man, the whole time, cuz, whole year, cuz I've been eating this fucking shame and blame for a whole fucking year. Like it's my motherfucking fault. The whole time. It was nothing to do with me. Even at the end, when the voting and stuff had come in, there was no motherfucking way. As much work as me and Jesse put in the fucking street that nobody even saw or knew, that we put out there in the fucking street, there was no way the numbers didn't make sense. I mean, it was stupid. The numbers were so fucking disrespectful. Like, I think that's what killed us. And that's what made it worse. That was intentional. It's like, who fussed with the fucking numbers, guys? And you don't want to talk about it because you don't want to talk about it because it leads into some sort of a Trumpy fucking situation. And I have to wonder if what we now know and what Trump was saying or whatever, kind of have to think about it on that level. But here in Colorado, we know for a fact that was not true. We know for a fact that someone fucking with the counting and the way it went, because they wouldn't even let Jesse talk. So we were over there putting out flyers and making calls, doing real shit that nobody would think we were doing or knowing. And I mean, like, literally, we knew that the numbers that they had counted at the end were fucking stupid. I mean, like, literally fucking cried on camera. It was devastating for me. Devastating. Like, I could fucking, it was devastating. I thought like my whole fucking life ended that day because I put in so much motherfucking work. You know what I mean? I did so much motherfucking work. Only for these motherfuckers to be so disrespectful, shady. And then that, like, come on, cuz. Hell nah. Hell fucking nah. Like, how does a motherfucking murderer get more than us? You know what I mean? Like, oh my God. Destroy the whole fucking community. You fucking kidding? Like, are you serious? this, that. Like, how does it fucking happen? Being a Democrat gets you more. You know what I mean? You're taking, like, you're serious. It seemed like the independents got, even the independents, they were like anybody but him, because that motherfucker right there is on city council's ass every motherfucking week. No matter what. For years before the mayor run. Like, no. That motherfucker right there is a man. He's a fucking spokesman for fucking homelessness. He was the only one that could speak to homelessness. He's the only one that could house anybody because he did it. It's like it didn't make sense. Everybody running around like they're the homeless expert. They didn't have no motherfucking idea. Like, come on, cuz. Now it makes sense. But I wouldn't have put it all together if I didn't provide a fucking tangible for somebody today. Just cuz I felt like it. And I could. I wouldn't have came to that motherfucking clarity. Now I'm fucking like, yeah. Now it's too late. But now it makes sense. And now I can clear my car. Like, it had nothing to do with me. It's not even my fault. None of it is my fault. It's too late now. The damage is already done. The damage is done because it's eternal. So, round 2, bitch better eat her Wheaties because it's not over till November. So I hope she eating her motherfucking Wheaties. And you have to fucking debate. It's just a must. Even if it doesn't even fucking matter. The fucking fear in your heart. Just know. 2-man team. No money. 2 men. Like 2 people. 2 people. 2 people team. Nobody else. All no money. Nothing. Just motherfucking. That. Just that alone. Just know that. Okay? There's nothing there. I did it all off the cuff. Free. Mm-hmm. So now you just got to go out there and just got to make her shake her boots. You can have a whole motherfucking war chest. So don't let this motherfucking brain get jump and get into his body and fucking terrorize you. It'll be a difficult thing. As I was like, man, I wish I could just jump in his body and operate like him, because this should have been a wrap then. I don't think, we're 2 different energies. So now I pray she eats her Wheaties, because yeah, I kind of came at a real kind of like, I was like, I'm here to set up some debates, like between you and such and such, because she just thinks she's running by herself, all open, la di da di da. I already got the black vote, bitch. Do. Fuck what he's talking about. I'm not listening. Nobody, I'm white and I say so. No, fuck all that. Like, I was mad before I came to this clarity. I was fucking mad already. And so I was like, nah, fuck that. Fuck you, black church, because I'm coming to take you back anyway. I'm sure make sure you have a good understanding of what's cracking. Here on the 17th through the 20th?
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, black church, I'm coming for you, cuz. I'm coming for you. The shaming is going to be epic. What else? Act Summit, Black Summit, everything that has to do with anything. I'm on it. I'm everywhere. Like it's like you're running against me. You know? But really, I will be out there fucking shaming and making it all fucking bad. I don't know. No, felt. So just to make it real understanding, because the black church, we got gatekeepers and shills, gatekeeping shills. And they let the whites in. They let the whites pat them on the head, and they're such good little motherfucking I don't know, house Negroes. Yeah. So nope, that's just gonna end. At least it's gonna be very disrespectful, because you can't really stop me from talking. So I mean, kind of like you're gonna have to make me. I don't really see that happening. So it kind of happened this last little bit, but that's because I respect the the board we sit on. That's why I didn't get all out of pocket. But this is different. This will be different. Especially because I'm invited too. And he's invited, but you know, it's different. I feel like the way it has to happen is that's how strategy works. Offense, defense, right? Offense, defense. So, bitch better eat her Wheaties. Because we only got two motherfuckers playing offense and defense with you, and you're the one in the middle, and we're playing fucking hot potato. You're the one in the middle. I hope you eat your motherfucking Wheaties and you got some good strategy, because we're quick. And it's not I'm white and I say so. Nah, fuck no. At least we're gonna make it upsetting, and we're gonna take the black vote from you. That'll be upsetting. So you just have to work on your whiteness, and then after the whites hear that you're a colonizer, I don't know. Colonizing really looks like colonizing and capitalizing off of it. Sounds pretty shitty. Sounds like that's the kind of jacket you really don't want to wear. Versus advocate, activist, fucking man of the people, until Democratic shills. That's okay. Pivot. It's all about how you pivot, baby. How you pivot out that motherfucking. We're playing basketball with hot potatoes. You know what I mean? So we're definitely. So I hope she ate her motherfucking Wheaties and she put on her motherfucking Nikes.
Right.
He got a motherfucking monster on the field playing with another motherfucker catching the ball. You know what I mean? So yeah, that was a monster. Bitch, come on now. I hope she ate her motherfucking Wheaties. Now I'm pissed. And now it's gonna go extra disrespectful and get extra hard with it. And it's gonna be super fucking crazy. But he's gonna be definitely like, because people think he's not informed. Or he doesn't know. Nobody's talking to him because that's the way Democrats want it. If they're so marketed or towards Democrat shit, they don't want to give you no opportunity. Thus the creating of this motherfucking website that he has. There's some real fucking opportunity right there to fucking be disruptive. Plus, there's opportunities to get at, even if they invite him or don't invite him. You dig? It's like black people make their own fucking way in the world. Can't let this fucking I'm white and say so shit be the fucking thing that stops change, or creating change, or changing what's already fucked up. If we don't get them in the seat, you're due for no change at all. No fucking change at all. It's just whatever. Hey, she's on the hey, she's with us. So it's cool. We don't gotta do nothing. We definitely can continue to fuck off because she's like us. I'm gonna hold her hand to make sure she stays like us. So they don't want nobody who's gonna be like, no, fuck that bill. He's trying to do that. No. Nope, scrap that. No, I don't give a fuck if it's your bill or not. No. Let me explain why. You know what I mean? Yeah, I said I put this through. Let me tell you why. You get a masculine voice in there. Most of the motherfuckers in the house seat know how Jesse is. They already know to stop. Like, for real, I've seen it. I've seen him go at it with motherfucking with the white representatives. I've seen him do it. That shit's been upset. That shit hurts their soul. They gotta know what fuck with them. Yeah, and they simmer down. They like, oh yes, Mr. Paris. And and then you got some black person trying to save him from Jesse. like when with the new mayor. Remember with the new mayor?
Yeah.
He's trying to talk to the new mayor, and the motherfucking little black motherfucker, who is it? I forgot what his name is. Trying to protect the mayor from a fucking doing the right thing with Jesse. Remember? That's enough, Mr. Paris. He's got to go now. He can't stay here and actually do the right thing.
Oh, yes, Chris.
Yeah, yeah. Excuse me. We got to move around now. Like I was blocking him. Like, excuse me. More interesting white person moving through black man, and he's black. Like, come on, cuz. Like, you gotta be like, hey, hey. And I would make sure he had an understanding. Yeah, right. That part. Like, hey, come on, brother. You know, you ain't gotta put on the cake. He already got saved.
See a pattern of that.
Right.
Even from our version of Harris.
Exactly. And you don't gotta put the cape on. Why we gotta save these fucking white people? But really, not even that. But why are the black people that we know such shills? It didn't make sense until I provided this fucking tangent this morning. Now it makes all the sense. I swear to God, a whole motherfucking year. It's destroyed our relationship. It's destroyed us all the way. And it's like, it's my fault. Nothing to do with me. Or him, really. Except the fact that he's not a Democrat and they're not hearing it. Nothing to do with it. You know what I mean? Or him, really. They don't want to hear it. They already know how he is. They don't want to hear it. They don't want to change. Because if they put change in any seat, change will fucking happen. You know what I mean? Especially somebody that's justice person. You know, like fights for fucking, especially black justice. For real, like, no, hell no, we can't have that. We like everything nice and ignorant, nice and empty. Black people are outside in 90 motherfucking 8-degree weather, unhoused. But these light skinned motherfuckers can have all the motherfucking money. You know what I mean? Yeah, that shit. So yeah, the first 6 months of this motherfucker's cabinet, first 6 months of his administration, was all us really, all our shit. Except for the migrant shit. No, that's not our shit. Migrant shit would have been a hard pause. Immediately. Hard pause. And probably, as instead of cleaning up and forcing the unhoused into jail, I would have been more like, why don't you use them guards to make sure them buses don't stop here? Yeah. So we would get flooded. Hell nah. I don't give a fuck how many kids you got. Like, no.
He was telling them how to get here and everything.
Yeah, he was telling them how to get here. Then he offered them like the pathways. It is so easy now. No, and so literally, motherfuckers are driving nice fucking cars all of a sudden, and fucking living in the fucking new buildings that are supposed to be for us.
These people might put them up. House there. I'll put them up, but they wouldn't house our unhoused neighbors.
Exactly, or black people for that matter. Yeah.
Black unhoused neighbors.
Exactly. So
they open their doors to these illegals.
Right. So that shit wouldn't have happened on our watch because that was like immediate. It would have been an immediate hard pause. Like, nah, we're gonna end. It would probably been an end to the sanctuary city shit. Really, because we could. If you can't feed your own people, how can you take care of others? If you can't house your own people, how can you house other people? Fuck whatever they're fighting, seeking. We're living in the ugly conditions here. Like, you don't have the what? No. And even if you found the money, however you found the money, like, fuck, take care of these people first. Nah, it didn't work out that way. And the unhoused neighbor fucking, I'm gonna do this in this many days type shit was like, come on, cuz, stop the cap. You know you didn't do this with all the unhoused people that were out there on the street. You fucking flex these numbers. You flex these numbers with immigrants. You housed all the immigrants. That's how you made that happen. Because if it was so easy, it would have been done by then. You would have been able to house people. Instead of even making motherfuckers struggle for fucking years. You did? They're just like, oh yeah, we're gonna just walk around and just give everybody vouchers. Then Michael Hancock's Ed, right? Because if it was that easy, he would have did it. He would have did it, especially when he's, being confronted by us all the time. He would have did it if it was that easy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He didn't do it. It's not that he didn't do it. I bet he didn't think it was that fucking easy to just start flexing numbers and handing out vouchers.
Yeah.
I bet he thought there was a whole process to it because they told him there was a process to it. You know what I mean? And he didn't get to pull the I'm white and say so type shit because he wasn't. He's black. You know what I mean? So it made it harder for him. In fact, it was even worse upon my little Hancock investigatory things when I'm looking into certain shit like sanctuary city stuff and why hasn't anybody audited this type of shit. And then it's like, oh look, this and this and this was just buried in there. He was trying, but they wouldn't let him because he's black and he's black. You know what I mean? So the whole time we're like, fuck you, Hancock. Is it really fuck you, Hancock? Or is it fuck, man? Why didn't you just say it? Why don't you just tell us that that's what's happening? Because they look like people start getting upset. It's not like that you think. They're intentionally fucking with me. Blocking me at every move. They don't want to do this and that.
Scared of.
You know what I mean?
This is a democracy.
Right. I'm just gonna veto this and do that, and every time I try to I'm like, why is this fucking audit taking it? Why are they doing this and that? Why doesn't this fucking why don't they want to give up like during certain audits, certain portions of of Hancock's administration were literally dragging shit out because they were corrupt and they were filing motions. This is racist. Dragging it out. Like, no, man, hey, I got a fucking heart. I got a thumb drive. I'm a thumb drive every single motherfucking computer in here. Traded for the last, I don't know, as long as this little package has been together. This little portion. I'm going to be right back. As a matter of fact, I'm not going to be back. Yeah, I'll be back. You got 10 days to fix it. Realistic. I'm going to give you realistic fucking shit. You know what I mean? Oh, you don't want to fix it? You want to file this? Nah, I said this. Because this shit could go. Don't worry. I already sent it to the news. This is what's really happening. You dig? That would be the best shit. But no, it was like stall, hard stall, hard stall, hard stall. The media says whatever. Michael Hancock comes out there with like, we're not going to be so divisive. We're not going to let this divide us. Really referring to me and Jesse. Because we were on his helmet hard. We were on his motherfucking helmet hard. And this is the same time you were ready for mayor, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're like, fuck no. No, we already went through this with Hancock. And then Jesse's like, I'm coming for your job. Which, in hindsight, I think that when Jesse and Mr. Hancock seen each other at this one forum, dapped and everything, I think it would have been a rip. Probably should have said, like, yeah, you could have it, but they're not going to let you, bro. I would totally say, yeah, you're the one. Yeah. But they're not going to let you. They're not going to let you because look what they're doing to me. Kind of saving you right now, man. You know? Like, that would have been a rip. But no, this for us is like coming free cuz. You're going to stop fucking up the seat. In reality, I'm like, reading all this shit. I'm like, he did try. He did try. But they did this and this happened. And blah, 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 blah. Fucking city council. Right? Why does the police getting away with all this shit? Yeah, now I understand. Now I know. So, the more you know, right? All that bitches eating their Wheaties and put on her motherfucking Nikes. And she just, get some rhythm about herself. She's playing with some monsters. At least, if anything, it'll be entertaining and challenging. So, I think the object is to win. And the challenge is to upset the balance of the status quo. To upset it. Just and to offer the people's choice, the third party. That's the goal. That's the goal. So let's start. Um, I'm only gonna show one thing because I have stuff to do. I want to do today, so I'm only gonna show one thing, and it's this. It's this little piece. It's called. It's on. It's for Frontline. And it's basically called. I might show democracy. Yeah, I might show two. Let's see. I'm only gonna show two, and it's really about the president. It's really about Trump, and the other one is um the the two of them together. What it is, the challenge and shit. So I'm only gonna show two. So fair use. Let me make sure my shit is up. So let me get my screen up. And let's see. Let me see. Fair use. Banners. Copyright. I can't believe I didn't have that running. Thank God I didn't have that running. I didn't have that up. Okay, cool. Yeah. So it just all I forgot about the fucking banners actually. So, just sit there just like talking about myself. It's usually how it works every show, right? All right, let's get it going. Let's see, share screen. Yeah, screen. Especially when the thing is, it always seems like I wait fucking forever to do an RVA because, man, the fellas they got the shows all unlocked. Jesse's doing new marathons. Chewbacca does like three shows a week. And Frontline fucking Black News is like taking on like a whole week show. You might as well just make it a whole week. That's right. Started out family with one day. Initially it was one day. That was it. Now it's like fucking it's a fucking marathon. So in the midst of that, the little RVA doesn't get to bloom. Alright, so we're gonna start. Let me see, let me make sure I got my screen up. The little RVA doesn't get to grow. I don't get to do my shit. I just have to sit here and just take it. That's how it looks. I have to just wait in the shadows. Maybe somebody will let me in. That's how it looks. Real shit. Let me make sure I want it. It's kind of toying with this. Give me a second. It's been a minute. I haven't had access to StreamYard while all this waiting to do the show has been going on. So I kind of forget. Not forget, but it's like, does this look good? Does this look good? Just make sure I got the right shit. So that so you can see it, and it's like, oh, all right, this is rip. I think I'm gonna go with this one actually. Yeah, I think that's gonna have to go. So let's get started. Let me share them over there. Anything else I'm forgetting? Copyright, everything's good. Okay, good. Let's start over here. Okay, let me start it from the top. It's called Democracy on Trial. Should I do that one? Democracy on Trial. Okay, and it's from Frontline PBS. Okay, 8 months ago. So they did this. Yeah, Frontline investigates the roots of the federal criminal case against former President Donald Trump, stemming from his 2020 election. Why are we playing it? Because I think you should have an idea of what we already had. And then I'm going into the next one. And that's it. It's only two. fair use.
An historic day here in Washington. A federal grand jury here has indicted former President Donald Trump.
Mr. Trump is charged with 3 counts of conspiracy and 1 count of obstruction.
This is the third criminal case brought against the former president this year.
He will now head to appear in federal court for the arraignment. This was not quite the return to Washington this former president had envisioned for himself.
We were getting ready to win this election. Frankly, we did win this election.
I won this election by hundreds of thousands of votes. There's no way I lost Georgia. There's no way. I only need 11,000 votes. Fellas, I need 11,000 votes. Give me a break.
Make no mistake, this election was stolen from you, from me, and from the country. And we fight. We fight like hell. And if you don't fight like hell, you're not going to have a country anymore.
For the first time in American history, a president charged with crimes in office.
The major development in Special Counsel Jack Smith's investigation into former President Trump.
Special Counsel Jack Smith will make remarks at a news conference from the Justice Department shortly.
This is a climactic moment, certainly in this investigation.
An indictment was unsealed, charging Donald J. Trump with conspiring to defraud the United States, conspiring to disenfranchise voters, and conspiring and attempting to obstruct an official proceeding. Since the attack on our Capitol, the Department of Justice has remained committed to ensuring accountability for those criminally responsible for what happened that day.
Jack Smith is sort of like the central casting career federal prosecutor. He's been doing this for 20 years. He has a reputation for being thorough and methodical. He's fairly aggressive, but not reckless aggressive. He's a very formidable opponent for Trump's lawyers.
In this case, my office will seek a speedy trial so that our evidence can be tested in court and judged by a jury of citizens.
In the middle of a presidential election, a critical moment for American democracy.
It lands us right in the middle of a presidential campaign. It is unavoidably going to be tainted with the appearance of politics at play. Obviously, that's the card that Donald Trump will play.
They waited right to the middle of an election until I became the dominant force in the polls. I got indicted over bull. I got indicted. I get indicted for saying the election was rigged.
If he's convicted, then he's, running for president as someone who has been found guilty of federal crimes.
I love that mugshot. I love that beautiful woman right there with a mugshot.
To say the stakes for that trial are high doesn't even begin to cover it, really. We often in the media use the phrase trial of the century for this sensational trial or that one, but really this would be, I think, the trial of the century. Because I cannot imagine anything more important than a former president on trial, charged with trying to subvert American democracy.
Tensions are still high following the chaos at the Capitol.
The federal indictment has its roots in the aftermath of the January 6th attack.
The chaos here has shaken the U.S. Capitol and the country, our nation's capital, under a state of emergency, under a citywide lockdown.
In Congress, there were calls to create a blue ribbon bipartisan commission.
A
9/11-style commission to look into the causes of the attack.
A bill to create a bipartisan commission faces an uphill battle in the Senate.
What was amazing was that the Senate Republicans refused to do that. To do what Congress has done in many previous incidents of great national catastrophe or crisis or controversy, which is to create a bipartisan special committee across both chambers.
Republicans in Congress, led by Senator Mitch McConnell, wouldn't support forming a commission that might go after Trump.
Leader McConnell almost instinctively goes into damage control mode. He's not necessarily going to go out on a limb when the rest of his caucus isn't going to go with him.
In the face of Republican opposition, the Democratic Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, created a committee of her own.
Morning. With great solemnity and sadness, I'm announcing that the House will be establishing a select committee on the January 6th insurrection.
The House of Representatives today did what the Senate would not, voted to create a select committee.
It was the hope of Pelosi and the Democratic majority that they'd be able to pick off at least some Republican support, that there wouldn't be that great a pushback. But in fact, there was, and in the end, only 2 Republicans voted for the formation of that committee. And in fact, those 2 Republicans, Adam Kinzinger and Liz Cheney, were the 2 Republicans who ended up serving on the committee.
The fact that Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger are the only 2 House Republicans who believe that we should know what happened on January 6th, that people should obey subpoenas from Congress, that people should provide documents when requested, and that's itself incredibly astonishing.
They would spend a year and a half examining the evidence. Tim Hafey was the chief investigator. A former U.S. attorney, Hafey led the independent review of the violence in Charlottesville in 2017 and was now taking on January 6th.
We ended up hiring, I think it was 14 or 15 former prosecutors, lawyers that have the skill set to interview witnesses, to digest a large amount of documents, and to sort of discern what's relevant and separate that from what's not. That skill set is developed largely by trying cases, by investigating cases in federal and local prosecutors' offices.
They conducted more than 1,000 interviews.
The House Select Committee is shifting into high gear, preparing to do battle with some pretty big names in the Trump world.
Reviewed millions of documents.
The House Committee probing the January 6th Capitol riot has issued 10 new subpoenas.
Thousands of hours of video evidence.
These subpoenas brings the focus to the actions of former President Donald Trump in the days and weeks leading up to the insurrection.
They're con people, they're con artists.
From the beginning, Trump denounced the committee.
The select committee on January, like these people are legitimate. Every one of them is a radical left hater.
The committee issued a subpoena to none other than former President Trump himself.
He refused to cooperate.
Trump suing the January 6th committee to block a subpoena for his testimony.
And while many of his aides did testify, others followed his lead.
Criminal contempt charges against former White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows.
Peter Navarro refusing to cooperate with the January 6th committee.
The committee's final report spans 692 pages. A case against Donald Trump. A blueprint for Special Counsel Jack Smith.
We saw our work as the first step in a process and not the end of the process. It's very clear that the Select Committee laid the path down for the Department of Justice.
The January 6th case that will be heard in Judge Chutkan's courtroom in Washington, D.C. has the most striking resemblance to what unspooled itself from the January 6th committee. The basis of the indictment looks like a carbon copy of what the January 6th committee uncovered.
A lot of the evidence that we uncovered is now in the hands of the Department of Justice. I just think all what we see now is a byproduct of the work of the January Select Committee.
Benny Thompson, a longtime Democratic congressman, chaired the committee.
Benny Thompson is a Mississippi congressman, a black man who grew up during the civil rights era in Mississippi, during the last vestiges of Jim Crow. and saw how hard fought the franchise to vote was for so many Black Americans.
In January 6th, Thompson saw parallels.
Well, one of the symbols of Southern resistance to voting rights and equal opportunity was the Confederate battle flag. And to see that flag being waved by many of the protesters brought back those memories.
When he saw rioters storm the Capitol carrying the Confederate battle flag, essentially trying to take away the votes of the American people. That, I know, affected him profoundly, and certainly was a driving factor in the way that he led the Select Committee.
Thompson's committee had gathered a trove of information. The challenge, what to do with it.
The one thing that we knew was the information that we have is compelling. The thing we needed to do was tell that to the American people in a compelling way. So that's why we brought in a former president of ABC News.
Yeah, I got a call pretty much out of the blue from the January 6th committee. They wanted a storyteller. And while they were brilliant lawyers, storytelling for a mass audience is not what they do.
To bring in a guy like this who would think outside the box really did prove to be fruitful. And it was Goldston who really began to envision this as, in a way, a kind of mini-series, that there would be, sort of 9 episodes, and that these episodes would tackle particular themes.
Attack on the Capitol, the investigation.
The first hearing was primetime television.
As the nation is about to witness a defining moment, the first hearing before the country, the results of the January 6th investigation.
This is an extraordinary moment in American history.
When it came to that first hearing, we knew how high the stakes were.
Is about to hold its first primetime hearing.
We were either going to, make people realize that this was important, or once you've lost them, you've lost them for good.
On the evening of June 9th, 8:01 p.m., the doors opened. My heart was beating pretty fast on June 9th. And it was a real question of, is this going to work or not?
All right, everybody, here we go. 5 on the line, please.
I'm in this tiny control room right up the stairs from Cannon Caucus. And we count down to the start of the hearing. And at that point, what can you do?
Here we go. In 3, 2, 1.
The Select Committee to investigate the January 6th attack on the United States Capitol will be in order. Without objection.
We wanted to make sure that this was a presentation that would grab the audience and hold on to them. Chairman Thompson loved to say, it's got to pop.
To get it to pop, they had just the thing.
Donald Trump lost the presidential election in 2020. Don't believe me? Hear what his former attorney general had to say about it.
No, just what I've been through. I had 3 discussions with the president that I can recall. One was on
former Attorney General Bill Barr.
On December 1st.
This is the Attorney General of the United States of America. For him to come forth under oath, I think was very powerful.
I made it clear I did not agree with the idea of saying the election was stolen and putting out this stuff, which I told the president was bull.
Bill Barr, who had been hated by the left and who had been beloved by Trump all the way until December of 2020, to hear him say, mincing no words, that there was all this bull that was being perpetrated by Trump, made you realize that, okay, we're now about to walk into a portal of evidence that is in fact different than everything else.
Following Barr, shocking video.
Most of the footage we are about to play has never been seen. The Select Committee obtained it as a part of our investigation.
Hold the line! Hold the line! Hold the line! Hold the line! Take the line! We have a breach of the Capitol! Breach of the Capitol from the upper level! We can't hold this. We're going to get too many people. Look at this display, man. We need to hold the doors of the Capitol. I need court support. We lost the line. We lost the line. All MPD, step back. All MPD, step back up to the upper deck. All MPD, step back to the upper deck. ASAP.
Yeah, like, can you imagine?
In the room that moment, we had officers that had been there on January 6th.
On the outside. Oh my God! Like that's just
There was a real gravity that we wanted to bring to that first hearing that video really put in perspective for us there.
Not really understanding I was watching that shit. I was like,
I don't think anyone, until that footage was shown, had really fully understood the violence of the day.
Those law enforcement personnel, here are people who are sworn to protect the Capitol, come to work on that day to do just that. And they are assaulted.
All the shit that happened.
Paying special attention to the hearing, Donald Trump, who responded on his own social media platform.
The so-called rush on the Capitol was not caused by me. It was caused by a rigged and stolen election.
The committee continued laying out its evidence to the contrary.
The attack on our Capitol was not a spontaneous riot. President Trump summoned the mob, assembled the mob, and lit the flame of this attack.
Vice chair at the hearing, Liz Cheney, a lifelong Republican and rock-ribbed conservative.
Or destroyed by force the government.
I chose Liz Cheney as my vice chair. She had Republican credibility in the broader sense. So you take an African-American liberal and a white female conservative to lead this committee.
That's smart.
Liz Cheney is Republican royalty in many ways. She's the daughter of Dick Cheney, the vice president. She's very conservative. She represents Wyoming. No one would mistake her for a liberal. But she also was someone who broke very publicly with Donald Trump.
And there is no rhino in America who has thrown in her lot with the radical left more than Liz Cheney. She has gone crazy.
I will do everything I can to ensure the former president never again gets anywhere near the Oval Office.
I would have to say that
She's been so strong on we need to have the truth about January 6th. We need to have the truth about what happened before January 6th. You can't have Trump again. You can't be president again.
I talked to her about what was motivating her. And she said that every time she sees the video of Mike Pence being rushed to safety for fear of his life on January 6th, she saw in her mind the image of her father.
The plane has just crashed into the World Trade Center here in New York.
That looks like a second plane.
Dick Cheney, the vice president, being rushed away from his office in the White House to the bunker on 9/11.
It is one of the darkest days in America. Attack in an act of terrorist war. Tremendously sad day
insurrectionists have stormed the U.S. Capitol, and they have been cheered on by the president.
And suddenly I got it. Suddenly I got it. For her, this was what Al-Qaeda and 9/11 were to her father. To the extent that her father became really quite driven by his view of the mission to protect America after 9/11, she saw her mission the same way, to protect America from Donald Trump.
I mean, when they, it's being...
Now helping to lead the January 6th committee, Cheney was determined to lay out the case against Donald Trump.
Stay in there.
Over multiple months, Donald Trump oversaw and coordinated a sophisticated plan to overturn the presidential election and prevent the transfer of presidential power.
In the very first hearing, she kind of laid out the theory of the case, right? The opening statement where she puts forth this multi-part plan. I think that will sound very much like Jack Smith's opening statement in the trial in March. It is a summary of how all this fits together.
In our hearings, you will see evidence of each element of this plan.
Frankly, we did win this election.
Donald Trump and his advisors knew that he had in fact lost the election. But despite this, you will see evidence that President Trump corruptly pressured state legislators and election officials to change election results.
I only need 11,000 votes. Fellas, I need 11,000 votes. Give me a break.
I will go.
What you saw at that hearing, methodically laid out by Liz Cheney, showed that it wasn't just some sort of like random, off the cuff, impulsive actions on his part, but that there was in fact a strategy and a pattern and a methodology to what he was doing.
President Trump's efforts to pressure Vice President Pence to act illegally likely violated 2 federal criminal statutes.
Because if Mike Pence does the right thing, we win the election.
If I could have been a fly on the wall in the Department of Justice during that, I would certainly probably expect everybody sat up and took notice of what she said after that.
In our final hearings, you will hear how President Trump summoned a violent mob and directed them illegally to march on the United States Capitol.
We fight like hell, and if you don't fight like hell, you're not going to have a country anymore.
With that, the committee stands adjourned.
The hearings got the public's attention.
First primetime January 6th hearing laying the foundation for a specific case against Trump.
The House committee went into graphic detail on the results.
To put it crassly, the January 6th committee was ratings hit.
From NBC News, January 6 revelations will, quote, blow the roof off the House.
The very first one, the primetime viewing, was at 19.4 million, which was really, really remarkable.
Huge, surprisingly huge numbers last night. That's on par with events like Sunday Night Football games.
There were still multiple brand new revelations last night that took us by surprise.
But for his supporters, Trump had a different story.
The Unselect Committee of Political Hacks refuses to play any of the many positive witnesses and statements.
It's a broadside. And it's not just one broadside, it is a continuous series of broadsides.
Bill Barr was a weak and frightened attorney general who was always being played and threatened by the Democrats.
It's just so relentless. It's so constant. It's so loud that in parts of MAGA America, that MAGA barrage drowns out anything else.
Warmongering and despicable human being Liz Cheney, who is hated by the...
And on the conservative airwaves, they amplified Trump's message.
Every news network in this country, but this one, faithfully surrendered its entire primetime lineup.
The effect was North Korean. Every channel the same. A full-on Hollywood multimedia extravaganza
to prosecute Trump with this show trial, with this kangaroo court.
I don't think really by any large stretch can you characterize it as bipartisan. And this is, I guess, a consequence of bigger issues about the evenly divided country that we're in and extreme partisanship in the political process.
Can they show us one damn sentence in the hundreds of thousands of documents that they have collected, the 1,000 witnesses they've had, anything, anywhere that links Donald Trump to directing or ordering an attack on the Capitol building? Where is it?
If you're talking to somebody who's deep in MAGA America, they didn't pay attention to the January 6th Commission. They were told not to pay any attention to it, that whatever was going to come out, it was going to be fake or fake news. And this is the way a lot of Americans live their lives. It's not just red Americans, blue Americans as well. We live in bubbles. And this is the way millions upon millions of Americans live.
In the weeks that followed, the committee laid out the details of their case.
This morning, we'll tell the story of how Donald Trump lost an election and knew he lost an election, and as a result of his loss, decided to wage an attack on our democracy.
A central question: what the president knew and when he knew it.
For a long time, people who have pursued Donald Trump tripped up on the question of whether they could prove that he knew what he was doing was wrong or that he knew what he was saying was a lie. The January 6th committee got past that by demonstrating that he was told time and time again that he did not win the election. Not by Democrats, not by the media, but by his own people.
I want to start by showing a video that tells the story of what was going on in the Trump White House on election night in November of 2020.
The Fox News Decision Desk is calling Arizona for Joe Biden. That is a big get for the Biden campaign.
Arizona's called. Do you remember that?
I do.
What do you remember happening where you were when Arizona was called?
There was surprise at the call.
After Fox News called Arizona for Biden, there was discussion about whether President Trump should say something and should declare victory. The consensus of almost all of his advisors was that he should not.
It was far too early to be making any calls like that. Ballots were still being counted. Ballots were still going to be counted for days. And it was far too early to be making any proclamation like that.
The professionals on his campaign staff are telling him, we can't claim victory. Either, you lost, or we have to at least wait and see what's going to happen. And Trump makes a choice that he wants to listen instead to Rudy Giuliani.
Were you part of any discussions about whether the president should make any sort of speech on election night?
I spoke to the president. They may have been present, but President spoke to the president several times that night.
Rudy Giuliani's advice was very different than that of Trump's political advisors.
His personal lawyer, Giuliani, tells Trump, keep fighting. We will have a legal crusade, a political crusade to keep you in power. Trump loves the idea.
Rudy Giuliani is one of the most prominent figures in American politics in the last 25 years, who is remembered fondly for his leadership post 9/11.
But over the years, he drifted towards Donald Trump, towards being someone that would be essentially a yes man to Donald Trump and some of his worst impulses.
And on election night, Giuliani insisted Trump should fight.
The president ignores the sound advice that he's getting from Bill Stepien, from the political professionals around him, and he's listening to one voice that is telling him something different, and that's Giuliani saying, you should go out there and declare victory.
And did anybody disagree with your message?
Yes.
Who is that?
The president disagreed with that. He thought I was wrong. He told me so, and that they were going to go he was going to go in a different direction.
I think the most dangerous speech that Donald Trump ever gave was not the one that he gave on January 6th. I think it's the speech that he gave at 2:30 in the morning, the night of the election.
This is a fraud on the American public. This is an embarrassment to our country. We were getting ready to win this election. Frankly, we did win this election.
Trump knew that the trends looked bad. Trump knew that there were hundreds of thousands of votes still to be counted. And he came out and he said, frankly, we did win the election.
We want all voting to stop. We don't want them to find any ballots at 4 o'clock in the morning and add them to the list, okay?
In the years since, Trump has claimed that he believed what he said that night.
I saw what happened. I watched that election and I thought the election was over at 10 o'clock in the evening.
But according to the committee, his claims of fraud were part of a well-established plan.
The moment when he said, frankly, I won this election, was telegraphed many, many times. And throughout the campaign of 2020, he repeatedly cast doubt on the legitimacy of the outcome, cast doubt on absentee ballots, etc. I did too.
As early as April 2020, Mr. Trump claimed that the only way he could lose an election would be as a result of fraud.
The only way we're going to lose this election is if the election is rigged. Remember that. It's the only way we're going to lose this election. This is going to be a fraud like you've never seen. Did you see what's going on? Take a look at West Virginia, mailmen selling the ballots. They're being sold. They're being dumped in rivers. This is a horrible thing for our country. This is not going to end well.
For the January 6th committee, it was crucial evidence of Trump's intent.
He makes numerous speeches and TV comments and TV interviews.
You're going to see corruption like you've never seen. You're going to see a rigged election. It'll be the greatest rigged election in history. It'll be the greatest fraud ever perpetrated.
It's all a big fraud.
It's a crooked deal. It's a rigged deal. New ballots are coming out that are thrown in garbage cans with the name Trump on it.
This was part of the scheme of getting his supporters sensitized to the fact that there's going to be some fraud here.
Because the only way they're going to win is by a rigged election. I really believe that.
This is a pattern for Trump. He has done this every step of the way through his career, long before politics.
My name's Donald Trump, and I'm the largest real estate developer in New York.
When The Apprentice lost an Emmy to The Amazing Race, he claimed that the Emmy contest was rigged.
Amazing Race winning an Emmy again is a total joke. The Emmys have no credibility. The Emmys are all politics. That's why The Apprentice never won.
Right. The public is smart. They know it's a con game.
I have just called President Obama to congratulate him on his victory.
He claimed that the election was rigged in 2012 when Mitt Romney, whom he had endorsed, lost to Barack Obama.
This election is a total sham and a travesty. We are not a democracy. More reports of voting machines switching Romney votes to Obama. Let's fight like hell and stop this great and disgusting injustice. We can't let this happen. We should march on Washington.
Every step along the way, anything he has ever lost is because somebody else has cheated and stolen it from him.
Fox News can now project that Texas Senator Ted Cruz has won Iowa.
Ted Cruz wins the Republican contest here in Iowa.
The big question now, how is Donald Trump going to handle a loss?
The state of Iowa should disqualify Ted Cruz from the most recent election on the basis that he cheated, a total fraud.
You have tweeted that Senator Ted Cruz stole the Iowa election.
Everything about it was disgraceful. It was a fraud as far as I was concerned.
Knowing what we know now, I think you would go back to February 1st of 2016.
It's a total voter fraud, you think of it. And actually, I came in probably first, if you think about it.
That episode was a bright red blinking light foreshadowing everything that was to come.
The portrait that both prosecutors and the January 6th committee are trying to paint is that Trump knows what's going on. that this wasn't something spontaneous. This wasn't something that the president truly believed, that it was all part of an overall and illegal, according to prosecutors in the committee, strategy to remain in power unlawfully.
And in court filings, prosecutors have said Trump's statements are evidence of the criminal conspiracy at the heart of the case.
They demonstrate the defendant's common plan of falsely blaming fraud for election results he does not like, as well as his motive, intent, and plan to obstruct the certification of the 2020 election results and illegitimately retain power.
Intent is the whole ballgame. The jury is making an evaluation of that. That's the most difficult thing to prove. Not impossible, but it is the most difficult thing to prove.
Robert Ray was an independent counsel who investigated President Bill Clinton and helped get Trump acquitted in his first Senate impeachment trial.
Our system requires that a jury of 12 unanimously, meaning all of them, all 12 of them, find the defendant guilty beyond a reasonable doubt.
To try to show the president's intent, the committee focused on his own statements after election night.
Although he publicly claimed that he had won the election, privately he admitted that Joe Biden would take over as president.
I remember maybe a week after the election was called, I popped into the Oval just to give the president the headlines and see how he was doing. And he was looking at the TV and he said, "Can you believe I lost to this effing guy?"
At the same time that President Trump was acknowledging privately that he had lost the election, he was hearing that there was no evidence of fraud or irregularities sufficient to change the outcome.
His campaign team, and this included his son-in-law, Jared Kushner, went to him after the election was declared. And they didn't just rebut the claims of voter fraud. They explained to him their analysis of why he lost. They showed him the numbers state by state in the swing states.
I made this case, I know Hope Hicks and others did to him, which was, you should kind of make this a victory lap, go around the country, talk about what you accomplished, and you're going to be in a great place in 2024 to win the presidency back.
But then you had Rudy Giuliani, who was whispering in his ear what Trump wanted to hear. Trump likes the people who tell him what he wants to hear. And he picked, in effect, Rudy Giuliani in order to go down the road of challenging the election.
There is strong evidence that this was an election that in at least 3 or 4 states and possibly 10, it was stolen. Bringing in 100,000 ballots in garbage cans, and every single one of them was for Biden.
The federal indictment alleges that by the middle of November, Trump's conspiracy to overturn the election was underway.
November 14th, 2020 is an important date in the federal indictment of Donald Trump. It is the moment when Donald Trump said, Rudy Giuliani is the only one who's providing me with a plausible path forward, and I'm going to take it.
Look, you can fight it all you want. The reality is dead people voted. Over 300,000 ballots were counted in secret.
Rudy Giuliani was central to a lot of these schemes, framing them, orchestrating them, directing other people, being in on the communications. And so once Trump made a decision to defer to Rudy Giuliani as the person who was setting the tone and giving people their talking points for what the approach was, that's when he decided to go after these nutty theories.
8,021 ballots from dead people, mail-in ballots for dead people. We're checking the records of the cemeteries around Philadelphia.
During that period, Giuliani and Trump would repeat dozens of false allegations. And the committee believed they had evidence it wasn't an honest mistake.
One of the things the committee did that was critical was putting together this timeline in which they showed very clearly the president would be told one thing one day, not true, don't say that, and he would go right back out and say it the next day anyway. That's really important toward, I think, establishing intent to lie, intent to defraud.
Each ballot went 3 times. Here's ballot number 1. Here it is a second, third time. Next ballot.
I told the president myself that these allegations about ballots run through machines several times, it was not true.
In several counties in Georgia, there is clear evidence that tens of thousands of votes were switched from President Trump to Biden.
Well, Mr. President, we did a hand retally of all the ballots and compared that to what the machine said, and it came up with virtually the same result.
In Detroit, a vote dump came in unexpectedly. I'll tell you what's wrong. Voter fraud.
And then he raised the big vote dump in Detroit. And I said, there's no indication of fraud in Detroit.
Over 10,300 ballots in Georgia were cast by individuals who died prior to the election.
The actual number were two people that were dead that voted.
You have Dominion, which those machines are fixed, they're rigged. You can press Trump and the vote goes to Biden.
I specifically raised the Dominion voting machines. I saw absolutely zero basis for the allegations. I told them that it was crazy stuff.
Stretching the truth in a campaign ad or on a debate stage is one thing. But when you are using that lie to subvert the democratic process and to convince people that they need to overturn the election, now you're talking about conspiracy. And that's what he's charged with.
Trump wouldn't talk to the committee, but he did talk to NBC News.
The most senior lawyers in your own administration and on your campaign told you that after you'd lost more than 60 legal challenges that it was over. Why did you ignore them and decide to listen to a new outside group?
Because I didn't respect them.
You'd hired
lawyers, sure, but that doesn't mean, you hire them. You never met these people. You get a recommendation. They turn out to be rhinos or they turn out to be not so good. In many cases, I didn't respect them. But I did respect others. I respected many others that said the election was rigged.
Were you calling the shots, though, Mr. President, ultimately?
As to whether or not I believed it was rigged, oh, sure. It was my decision.
One of the allegations in the charges against Trump is that he used lies to carry out his criminal conspiracy.
The defendant's knowingly false statements were integral to his criminal plans.
It doesn't matter.
But to the president's defenders, his statements about the 2020 election, true or not, should be protected under the Constitution.
You will see Trump and those who defend him essentially using the free speech defense and saying that these are just words. And in the end, it's not a crime in America to lie to the American public, even though Donald Trump lied to the American public a lot.
To shake it up and win.
This is a central area of the president's defense. He does have First Amendment rights, and particularly as president, and trying to turn words into criminal conduct is a very slippery road for the prosecution under the First Amendment. And in the event of a conviction, I can guarantee you this will be point one in the brief on appeal.
Lying to the government is not protected by the First Amendment. Obstructing justice is not protected by the First Amendment.
Ken White is a prominent criminal defense lawyer and a First Amendment expert.
And so here the government's position is going to be, we are not going after him for, what he said on the news. That's not the crime. The crime is he specifically pushed to derail specific government functions.
As they gathered their evidence, the January 6th committee returned again and again to one state, Georgia.
When Donald Trump tried to overturn the election results, he focused on just a few states. The former president had a particular obsession with Georgia.
I think that Trump chose us because Republicans did control basically every level of government. You got the House, you got the Senate, all Republican controlled, not even close. I think he thought he could come here and basically just by some kind of fiat say, okay, make it happen.
And it was in Georgia that Donald Trump received a stark warning from Gabriel Sterling, an election official.
Gabriel Sterling explicitly warned President Trump about potential violence on December 1st, 2020, more than a month before January 6th. You will see excerpts from that video repeatedly today.
Mr. President, it looks like you likely lost the state of Georgia.
Stop inspiring people to commit potential acts of violence. Someone's going to get hurt. Someone's going to get shot. Someone's going to get killed. And it's not right.
Gabe Sterling called out Donald Trump. He was the first to really, as far as I remember, to really come out and say, this is going to lead to violence.
We're investigating. There's always a possibility. I get it. You have.
Gabe Sterling is not listed as some kind of a Republican in name only or some kind of a liberal Republican prior to that moment.
I've been a Republican since I was about 9 when Reagan was running for re-election. I was 9 years old when I first kind of declared myself. My mother was not very happy, but my dad was pleased. I was working campaigns in the late 80s and early 90s. So yeah, I've been around Republican politics as an operative and a volunteer since before I could drive a car. So yeah, I've been at it for a while.
The chair recognizes the gentleman from California, Mr. Schiff, for an opening statement.
All right.
Mr. Sterling, thank you also for being here today. Following the 2020
Schiff. I remember they told me he was going to question me. I'm like, damn it. I can't stand that guy. He irritates me to death because I think he's wrong and doesn't tell the truth a lot. But I said, you know what? I'm just going to play this straight. The fact witness just answer the questions.
Donald Trump claims that there was, quote, massive voter fraud in Georgia.
You're looking out there.
Mr. Sterling, that was just plain false, wasn't it?
Yes, sir.
Nevertheless,
I want to give some perspective for this. I was the voting system implementation manager. I was a bureaucrat of all bureaucrats, basically, at that time. No one should know who the hell I am. I just was doing my job.
Sterling was on the front line as Trump attacked the Georgia election results.
Thousands of uncounted votes discovered in Georgia counties. Big voter fraud information coming out concerning Georgia. Georgia Republicans are angry. All Republicans are angry. Get it done.
People in Georgia are mad. They know their votes were stolen.
Georgia, of the 6 states I looked at, is a cesspool.
Georgia's probably going to be the first state I'm going to blow up, and the Secretary of State need to go with it.
Everyone must go to the capital of Georgia now. We need to see people power, and this will do it.
On the ground, tensions were mounting.
I mean, you have a whole voting population out there who still today believes that this election was stolen. And they think that, some fraud happened, and that's how you end up in situations where they're threatening the election officials in Georgia.
Keep opposing the audit, and somebody in your family is going to have a very unfortunate incident. Please pray. We plan for the death of you and your family every day. I'm sorry. You and your family will be killed very slowly.
It wasn't fun, I can tell you that. We were in the mix of a radicalized lie, essentially. And it just kept on escalating.
Y'all blow your brains out, you piece of.
The threats poured into the voicemails of election officials.
Hope you're happy with the way it's going, because you know whose fault this is when the hits the damn fan, because you know it's coming. We're coming after you and every mother with our Second Amendment. Enemy communist sucker, you will be served lead.
It has all gone too far. All of it. It has to stop.
I had no script. In fact, I didn't realize I was going to call out the president, so I was literally saying the words out loud at the time.
Can I help you? No.
Mr. President, you have not condemned these actions or this language.
What's I said? Yeah.
This has to stop. We need you to step up, and if you're going to take a position of leadership, show some.
You don't even know your own store. Stupid ass. I'm looking for this item right here.
After you made this plea to the president, did Donald Trump urge his supporters to avoid the use of violence?
Not to my knowledge.
Now, as we know, the president was aware of your speech because he tweeted about it later that day.
The president retweeted a criticism of Gabriel Sterling's press conference. So the president was aware that there were threats of violence, and he persisted in the big lie.
You have Gabriel Sterling say, people will die. This was the warning, and Donald Trump was unmoved by it. Was there any sort of a sense that maybe we had to dial down the rhetoric, that maybe this is getting out of hand, maybe this is dangerous? No.
Gabriel Sterling's warning that someone could get killed, I think that still remains true today. Because you still have the president targeting judges and law clerks and witnesses. And I think it is remarkable that no one has been physically hurt. But I think time will tell whether something does happen.
The committee plans to reveal even more evidence. Former President Trump pressured state officials to overturn the results of the 2020 election.
Rusty Bowers, the Speaker of the Arizona House and lifelong Republican, was a crucial witness to Trump's campaign of pressure on local officials.
Arizona House Speaker Rusty Bowers testifying today. He received numerous calls asking him to decertify the Arizona electors.
Bowers would testify about his private conversations with the president.
Going in the room, we walk down through the hall, and there's lots of people in the hallways, and then guards, and then there's a doorway, and I'm thinking, okay, how big is this room? And then I walk in the room, and I'm thinking, oh my word, this is one big room. I'm like, wow. And there's 10 million photographers all jammed together, jostling in front of us. And I'm trying to maintain composure and not run screaming off down the mall, down towards the Lincoln Memorial. But I saw Liz Cheney, and she was looking at me, and that kind of calmed me down.
I now welcome Rusty Bowers, a distinguished legislator from Arizona. Speaker Bowers, thank you for being with us today. You're the Speaker.
This is a loyal, lifelong Republican. He's a conservative who fought to get Trump reelected.
Arizona House Speaker Rusty Bowers, come on up here.
Rusty Bowers is just a compelling person. It's hard to talk to him and not believe him. And the stories that he told about his direct communications with the president were just so indicative and so powerful that he was kind of an obvious choice, frankly, for somebody that America needed to hear from directly.
Right.
After the election, you received a phone call from President Trump and Rudy Giuliani, in which they discussed the result of the presidential election in Arizona. If you would, tell us about that call.
The president initially laid out the broad claim of fraud across the country. Named different states, including my own.
He's like, what the fuck?
What was the ask during this call? He was making these allegations of fraud, but he had something or a couple things that they wanted you to do. What were those?
He said, well, we have heard by an official high up in the Republican legislature that there is a legal theory or a legal ability in Arizona that you can remove the electors of President Biden and replace them. Well, for them to say to me, yeah, we just want you to throw out those electors and put in Trump's. I'm thinking, have I gone to another planet? I mean, it's like, what? I'm not going to do that. I mean, I wanted him to win. Okay, so what? I'm not going to cheat. I'm not going to cheat to win. What's that? I flat out said, you're asking me to break my oath. I swore an oath. I'm not going to break it. Period. Not going to break it.
That's impossible, sir.
I said, well, if you're talking this, I got to have the proof. I said, Rudy, do you have the names of the dead people who voted? He goes, yes. And do you have the names of the 200,000 illegals who voted in our election? Yes. I said, I want those names. And the president says, Rudy, give the man what he wants. Give him what he wants. He says, yeah, we've got him, Mr. President. I'll get him to him.
In the criminal indictment, Jack Smith saw the call as evidence of a crime.
The defendant and co-conspirator 1 asked the Arizona House Speaker to use the legislature to circumvent the process by which legitimate electors would be ascertained.
If you are calling a state official and you're asking them to nullify lawful votes and to replace them with unlawful votes, that is squarely within federal statutes regulating election conspiracy.
Not long after the call, Rudy Giuliani himself arrived in Arizona.
Did you meet with Mr. Giuliani and his associates while they were in Phoenix?
Yes, I did, sir. There was a row of people, and Giuliani and Jenna Ellis, I recognized them. And I sat down on the opposite side. I just said, did you bring me the proof? And he said, what? I said, do you remember our phone call when you said you were going to bring me the proof? And he said, oh, yeah. I said, did you bring it? And he turned to Jenna Ellis and he says, do you have the proof? And she said, yeah.
Oh, you have that.
Can we see it? And she leans over and fumbles through her briefcase and says, oh, no, I don't have it here. It must be at the hotel room.
This meeting or at any other later time, did anyone provide you with evidence of election fraud sufficient to affect the outcome of the presidential election in Arizona?
No one provided me ever such evidence. Giuliani was kind of frustrated with us all. And he said, you know, we've got a lot of theories. We just don't have the evidence.
All right,
and when I heard him say that, I said, did he just say what I thought he said? And they all looked at me like the same thing on the mind, like, whoa, you know that? Yeah, he just said that. That was like a rocket's red glare moment, like, wow, you gotta be kidding. This is the clown show. They're out hunting, they're trying to find something, and they're wanting us to participate in this, and he says that? Holy moly, we can't do this stuff, you know, it's like.
Rudy Giuliani refused to answer questions from the committee about his conversations with Bowers. Trump attorney Jenna Ellis also refused. For the January 6th committee, that meeting with Bowers was a bombshell revelation.
We have a lot of theories, but we don't have any evidence. That shows that none of this had to do with evidence or reality, right? This is all about just making stuff up in order to justify keeping Trump in power.
The phrase Giuliani uttered would become iconic, and Giuliani a central figure in Trump's indictment, listed as co-conspirator number 1.
Co-conspirator 1 responded with words to the effect of, we don't have the evidence, but we have lots of theories.
It shows Rudy Giuliani admitting that there's no evidence for the theories they have, that these are just talking points, not backed with any fact. And that's exactly the theory of the government.
During the conversation, did he bring up the fact that you shared a similar party?
He would say, aren't we all Republicans here? I would think we would get a better reception. I mean, I would think you would listen a little more open to my suggestions that we're all Republicans. For someone to ask me to deny my oath and just let the courts figure it out, or let somebody else punt it to someone else, is not something I will do.
What you have to understand here is that Rusty Bowers, this guy who worked for Trump, wanted Trump to be reelected in Arizona, worked for Trump's reelection, is given a choice. He can choose between his oath to the Constitution or President Trump, and he stays loyal to the Constitution. That is, in effect, the choice that he's given.
Even in the past, when there have been serious.
Rusty Bowers speaks with a moral and legal clarity that's very necessary to understand.
We choose to follow the outcome of the will of the people.
It's my oath. And I hope that I'll never break that.
Crazy.
I know I'm not perfect. I'm certainly not a perfect witness. But I am a witness. And I had my say.
Right.
And I wasn't trying to flower it up. Wasn't trying to be
like you discussed.
anything other than just Rusty.
Yeah, like normal, like honest. It's like this crazy. It looks sad at the end to it, you know?
Rusty Bowers is now a key witness on a central charge of the indictment.
The defendant and his co-conspirators executed a strategy to use knowing deceit in the targeted states to impair, obstruct, and defeat the federal government function.
In their filings, Trump's lawyers have argued he is immune from prosecution because he was doing his job as president when he worked to change the election results.
The indictment is based entirely on alleged actions within the heartland of President Trump's official duties, or at the very least, within the outer perimeter of his official duties.
The former president has a motion claiming that he is immune from criminal process with regard to these charges which involve his official acts as president of the United States.
As President Trump is absolutely immune from criminal prosecution for such acts, the court should dismiss the indictment.
Donald Trump's legal team suggesting that even a president who had a political rival assassinated could still be immune from criminal prosecution.
The federal judge presiding over the case has already rejected Trump's immunity claims, saying a president is not entitled to a lifelong get-out-of-jail-free pass.
The questions being raised right now regarding presidential immunity are absolutely key to the very foundation, the very philosophical foundation of this republic. Because if you take an oath of office in the United States of America, you're swearing an oath to our system of government. And so if a president is not subject to that system of government, if he's not subject to that code of laws, we don't have quite the republic that we thought we had.
An appeals court is now considering the question of immunity. Whatever the decision, both sides could appeal to the United States Supreme Court. The committee's investigation kept bringing them back to what happened in Georgia.
Mr. Giuliani, what are you doing here in Georgia?
Giuliani was there to make his case to the Republican state legislature.
I see you too. Oh, I'm not going to never give up. Nope.
He was very jovial, I have to tell you. I think he had gotten basically a king's welcome by all the Republicans. It was like, you know, he was their superstar or whatever. They all wanted pictures with him. They were all so impressed with him and couldn't believe that he was there, and very obsequious.
Giuliani and others from Trump's team had come with a conspiracy theory. Election workers were counting suitcases of illegal ballots.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you. Senator Jordan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Jen Jordan, a Democratic state senator, was in the room with Giuliani, Jenna Ellis, and Trump's other lawyers.
They are going to pull ballots out from underneath a table. Watch this table.
You had the woman who was narrating.
This table, the black one, was placed there by the lady with the blonde braids.
And saying, you see this woman here, you see her here.
At about 8 o'clock in the morning, and we're going to roll this back and show it to you. There you go. So now they're going to start pulling these ballots out from under this table. I don't know the name of the lady in the blonde braids, and one of them had the name Ruby across her shirt somewhere.
She's taking the ballots out, and now she's, filling them in, or she's stealing these ballots.
It was an allegation Trump personally amplified.
There is even security camera footage from Georgia that shows officials telling poll watchers to leave the room before pulling suitcases of ballots out from under the tables and continuing to count for hours.
They kept on recycling these things.
The footage appears to show poll workers pulling ballots out of suitcases after they...
It's like playing whack-a-mole.
Yeah, how about those suitcases that were pulled out from the table in Georgia? Looking at ballots, they're finding them under the tables. I mean, this is like a banana republic.
But the full surveillance video didn't show what Trump and Giuliani claimed.
The magic suitcases, which were really just ballot carriers that had been put under the table about an hour earlier, and they were placed under there with the monitors and the press in the room.
A day after Giuliani's presentation, the video aired on local TV. Their claims were debunked.
This is the short section of the video the Trump team has shared. It's not suitcases being pulled from under that table, but official sealed ballot containers. If we go back in the video to hours before, you can see that table being brought into the room at 8:22 a.m. Nothing underneath, no hidden suitcases, as ballots that have been opened but not counted are placed in the boxes, sealed up, and stored under the table.
No magical appearing ballots. These are ballots that were processed in front of the monitors, put in the boxes in front of the monitors, and placed there in front of the monitors.
And I'll go to my deathbed knowing that they knowingly lied. They looked in the state senator's eyes, the people of Georgia, the people of America, and lied to them about this and knew they were lying to try to keep this charade going on that there was fraud in Georgia.
But the conspiracy theories continued.
This is not a conspiracy theory. Those are legitimate questions.
I think the woman in charge here is named Ruby Freeman. And I think her daughter, Shay Freeman Moss, either was helping her here or helping her earlier.
Giuliani had called out by name two election workers, Shay Moss and Ruby Freeman.
After pulling out hidden boxes stuffed with ballots, Ruby Freeman, as seen here in this video, repeatedly scanned the same batch of ballots at least 3 times.
Like the claim about suitcases of ballots, it wasn't true.
The secondary part of that was they're scanning multiple times. And a standard operating procedure is if there's a misscan, you delete that batch and straighten it up like you do and then run it through again. And that's what they were doing. And the reason we know that's the case is because we had a hand tally that showed the number of ballots matched what was counted. So we know that they didn't do that.
I now welcome Andrea Shay Moss. In December 2020, Ms. Moss and her mother, Ms. Ruby Freeman, became the target.
People say, I know somebody just like those two ladies in my community who work elections. And they are just everyday people. To have them as a witness for our committee, I think it was very powerful.
I understand that you are here along with your mother today. Would you like to introduce your mama? Hi, Mom.
Well, I know the events that we're here to talk about today are incredibly difficult to relive. I'd like to show you some of the statements that Rudy Giuliani made a week after that video clip from State Farm Arena was first circulated by Mr. Giuliani and President Trump. I want to advise viewers that these statements are completely false and also deeply disturbing.
Tape earlier in the day of Ruby Freeman and Shay Freeman Moss and one other gentleman quite obviously surreptitiously passing around USB ports as if they're vials of heroin or cocaine.
He sounded a lot more desperate. Quite frankly, he seemed more unhinged. He made some overtly racist comments.
They look like this. They look like they're passing out dope, not just ballots. It is quite clear they're stealing votes. And they're still walking around Georgia lying. They should have been questioned already. Their places of work, their homes should have been searched for evidence of ballots, for evidence of USB ports, for evidence of voter fraud.
What he did to these ladies.
But there was no evidence that they were passing USB drives.
In one of the videos we just watched, Mr. Giuliani accused you and your mother of passing some sort of USB drive to each other. What was your mom actually handing you on that video?
A ginger mint.
Passing along a ginger mint back and forth gets spun up into this baseless theory. Not an accident. It is meant to stir up people's anger. And these two black women who are doing their civic duty are vilified.
It really does end up ruining people's lives. I mean, I can't tell you how many emails I got with respect to Shay Moss and Ruby Freeman, and that they should be strung up.
County Police and Fire?
Yes, I'm Ruby Freeman. I need an officer to come out. I've been having terroristic threats. I've been having harassing phone calls, and now somebody's banging on the door again. Oh, they screaming. He's still banging on the door. Okay. He's still banging on the door. Lord Jesus, where's the police?
They are on the way, ma'am.
Were a lot of these threats and vile comments racist in nature?
She's crazy.
A lot of them were racist. A lot of them were just hateful. A lot of threats, wishing death upon me, telling me that, you know, I'll be in jail with my mother, and saying things like, be glad it's 2020 and not 1920.
These women whose lives had been completely destroyed. That's where the story about the state pressure campaign becomes real.
I felt horrible. I felt like it was all my fault. Like, if I would have never decided to be an elections worker, like, I could have done anything else, but that's what I decided to do. And now,
like, you're scared.
People are lying and spreading rumors and lies and attacking my mom.
Lied on them.
I'm her only child.
Don't believe the lies. And
I just felt like it was my fault for putting my family in this situation.
I don't know what.
There are real world consequences to lying and attacking and demonizing innocent people in this country.
I don't know, really.
And Donald Trump has always been very heedless of the human costs of his lies and his gaslighting. And this is a very painful example of that.
Be so disrespectful.
Ms. Moss, I want to thank you for coming in to speak with us and to thank you for your service to our democracy. With your permission, I would like to give your mother the last word.
And when I tried to do that,
my name is Ruby Freeman. I've always believed that when God says that he'll make your name great, but this is not the way it was supposed to be. I built my own business around that name, LaRuby's Unique Treasures, a pop-up shop catering to ladies with unique fashions. I wore a shirt that proudly proclaimed that I was, and I am, Lady Ruby. Mm-hmm. Actually, I had that shirt on. I had that shirt in every color. I wore that shirt on Election Day 2020. I haven't worn it since, and I'll never wear it again.
Yeah.
Now I won't even introduce myself by my name anymore. There is nowhere I feel safe. Nowhere.
Terrible.
Do you know how it feels to have the President of the United States to target you? The President of the United States is supposed to represent every American, not to target one. But he targeted me, Lady Ruby, a small business owner, a mother, a proud American citizen who stand up to help Fulton County run an election in the middle of the pandemic.
Yeah, that shit is fucking scary. We have all the influence, power. Like a lady just trying
Federal
to
prosecutors have cited the lies about Freeman and Moss in their indictment.
Co-conspirator one orchestrated a presentation to a judiciary subcommittee of the Georgia State Senate with the intention of misleading state senators into blocking the ascertainment of legitimate electors.
Breaking news in Georgia's investigation into alleged interference in the 2020 presidential election.
In Georgia, prosecutors have also weighed in with their own charges.
Members of the enterprise, including several of the defendants, falsely accused Fulton County election worker Ruby Freeman of committing election crimes in Fulton County, Georgia.
Trump, Giuliani, and others have been charged in Georgia with a host of crimes related to their attempts to overturn the 2020 election. While Trump and Giuliani await trial, 4 of their co-defendants have pled guilty, including Jenna Ellis.
If I knew then what I know now, I would have declined to represent Donald Trump. I look back on this full experience with deep remorse for those failures of mine, Your Honor.
It's very important that Jenna Ellis pled guilty to criminal charges because it raises the point that, wait a minute, this wasn't a traditional lawyer-client relationship. And so when you have lawyers pleading guilty to crimes, that is broadcasting loudly that they were not providing conventional legal advice.
In a separate civil case, a federal court ordered Rudy Giuliani to pay $146 million for defaming Freeman and Moss.
A legal loss for Rudy Giuliani that could cost him millions.
Rudy Giuliani, the once respected New York mayor and former attorney for Donald Trump, has filed for bankruptcy.
Forced to declare bankruptcy, the latest chapter in a dramatic fall for the man once dubbed America's mayor.
As the January 6th hearings continued, the committee linked the efforts in Georgia to Trump personally. They had evidence and a witness.
Brad Raffensperger is the 29th Secretary of State of Georgia, serving in this role since 2019.
My job as Secretary of State is to make sure we have honest, fair, and accurate elections.
He's a very strong Christian. He's a very strong Republican, and he's very conservative.
Right back.
He was an engineer. Now, being an engineer allowed him to lean into the numbers and lean into the data.
Take over my show.
He felt very comfortable with that, which is, a rare thing for anybody in politics because engineers are very mathematical, very linear, not always the biggest personalities.
I looked at, as the Office of Secretary of State, is how do we really improve the process of elections? All 159 counties had new election equipment with a verifiable paper ballot ready for the election of 2020.
It was a phone call from the president that put Raffensperger at the center of the hearings.
Everyone, I'm going to conference you through to POTUS momentarily. One moment.
That phone call is one of the most powerful pieces of evidence that's come out of this post-election period.
The conference is now connected.
Hello?
Mr. Raffensperger, are you on the line?
Mark Meadows reached out to my Deputy Secretary of State, and she called me, and I told her I didn't think that was a good idea. And we were kind of told that, no, we definitely need to have this conversation.
Oh, and Brad Raffensperger here.
Okay, all right. So, Mr. President, everybody is on the line, and just so, this is Mark Meadows, the Chief of Staff. So, Mr. President, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, thank you very much. Hello, Brad and Ryan and everybody. We appreciate the time and the call. If we could just go over some of the numbers, I think it's pretty clear that we won. We won very substantially, Georgia.
It shows how frantic and desperate President Trump had become by that phone call. I think it shows how his demands were fully removed from any kind of evidence.
So dead people voted, and I think the number is in the close to 5,000 people. And they went to obituaries, they went to...
I just listened to him talk. I was making some notes. Okay, 5,000. Okay, great. I'll respond to that. But when I got an opportunity to, speak, then I just said, well, Mr. President, the challenge that you have is your data is wrong.
Well, Mr. President, the challenge that you have is the data you have is wrong. So the actual number were 2.
two people that were dead that voted.
My job was just to respond with the facts. And if I had a different set of facts, I would have responded with whatever they were. Our job was to give him the true data, which I did.
But why wouldn't you want to find the right answer, Brad, instead of keep saying that the numbers are right? Brad, we just want the truth. It's simple. And the real truth is I won by 400,000 votes, at least.
We believe that we do have an accurate election.
No, you don't. No, you don't.
The former president was pushing to see if he could somehow, it would move me someplace. Because I think that's been an effective strategy for him over his business career and political career. The people tended to buckle instead of stand firm on their principles.
In Georgia, Trump had lost to Biden by 11,779 votes.
So what are we going to do here, folks? I only need 11,000 votes. Fellas, I need 11,000 votes. Give me a break. Why do you keep fighting this thing? It just doesn't make sense.
We have to stand by our numbers. We believe our numbers are right.
Trump didn't understand. It just didn't click with him that someone wouldn't just give in. It just did not occur to him that there was some higher level of loyalty to the law and the Constitution.
They knew that we had followed the law and we had followed the Constitution. And I think sometimes moments require you to stand up and just take the shots. You're doing your job. And that's all we did. We just followed the law and we followed the Constitution. And at the end of the day, President Trump came up short. But I had to be faithful to the Constitution. And that's what I swore an oath to do.
This call becomes critical because it's recorded. We get to hear in the president's own voice how he's doing it, what he's doing, how he's putting pressure on these people.
So, look, all I want to do is this. I just want to find 11,780 votes.
This is a scheme to overthrow an election. He knew the number that he needed to hit to change the outcome of the election.
And Trump accused Raffensperger himself of a crime, allowing election fraud.
It's more illegal for you than it is for them because you know what they did and you're not reporting it. That's a criminal offense.
The President of the United States demanding that an election official find thousands of votes and then strongly implying that there would be criminal sanction in the event that those votes were not found. I mean, that is terrible evidence for the president.
What I knew is that we didn't have any votes to find. We had continued to look. We investigated, like I just shared the numbers with you. There were no votes to find.
That call is damning, and I think it's going to be damning potentially in front of a jury, because juries, when they can hear a defendant's voice on tape, when they can hear something that is that real and that visceral, it can be incredibly powerful testimony.
Okay, thank you, Brad. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, President Trump, for your time.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Bye.
The defendant said that he needed to find 11,780 votes.
It shows him demanding a remedy that doesn't make any sense in the context of anything lawful. That's just asking, I want to win. You got to do it. I think it's going to be a very powerful call for that jury.
For his part, Trump has defended the phone call with Raffensperger, describing it as perfect.
A perfect phone call to discuss a rigged and stolen election and what to do about it, with many people, including lawyers and others, knowingly on the line.
After weeks of trying to overturn the results of the election, his legal team has come up with nothing.
In the middle of December 2020,
in the courts where evidence gets scrutinized, authenticated, and tested, they're getting hammered.
as the president was failing in his attempts to reverse the election.
All but now ending the president's attempt to reverse his election loss.
A new phase began.
And it comes as the Electoral College is set to cast their votes for president tomorrow.
On December 14th, 2020, the presidential election was officially over. The Electoral College had cast its vote. Joe Biden was the president-elect of the United States.
The president has reached the end of the road. The Electoral College certified the election. His legal team and allies lost more than 50 challenges.
The cases run their course. The Electoral College meets. People are saying no. So he's running out of options, right? The sequence is increasingly desperate.
On Friday, December 18th, his team of outside advisors paid him a surprise visit in the White House that would quickly become the stuff of legend.
This meeting is one of the most extraordinary meetings ever happened in that building in more than 200 years of history. Here you had a president of the United States who had lost an election in the Oval Office being advised by a swarm of colorful characters, to say the least.
At the meeting, former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn and attorney Sidney Powell, by then both known for their embrace of conspiracy theories about the election.
You have people in there counseling Donald Trump that he should explicitly order martial law, that he should create a special czar. The person they had in mind for this was Sidney Powell, that she should become the special election czar and be empowered to use the machinery of government itself to overturn the election.
As word of the meeting spread, senior White House lawyers rushed to the Oval Office, including White House counsel Pat Cipollone.
I opened the door and I walked in. I saw General Flynn. I saw Sidney Powell sitting there. I don't think any of these people were providing the president with good advice.
President Trump's close advisors, White House counsel Pat Cipollone, Eric Hirschman, an advisor to the president, and others who were in that room were saying to this group, well, what evidence do you even have that there was fraud in the election?
The White House lawyers were insistent that the president shouldn't declare martial law to overturn the election or empower Sidney Powell.
At times, there were people shouting at each other, throwing insults at each other.
Cipollone and Hirschman and whoever the other guy was showed nothing but contempt and disdain of the president.
And the three of them were really sort of forcefully attacking me verbally. And we were asking one simple question: where is the evidence?
I mean, if it had been me sitting in his chair, I would have fired all of them that night and had them escorted out of the building.
The president is taking all this in, mostly a passive observer in this meeting, but he is watching this play out. His close advisors telling his lawyers, you have no evidence that there was fraud in the election. And you've lost every case. Every case you brought in court, you've lost. And Sidney Powell says, the judges were corrupt. That's why we lost. And Eric Hirschman, supporter, close advisor of the president, says, what are you talking about? Every case, the judges, we appointed many of those judges. You're saying they're all corrupt? Like, you people have nothing, you're crazy.
I think that it got to the point where the screaming was completely out there. I mean, you got people walk in, it was late at night, it had been a long day, and what they were proposing, I thought was nuts. Flynn screamed at me that I was a quitter and everything, kept on standing up and turning around and screaming at me. And at a certain point, I had it with him. So I yelled back, "There's sit your effing ass back down."
I'm gonna categorically describe it as, you guys are not tough enough. Or maybe I put it another way, you're a bunch of pussies. Excuse the expression.
At the end of it, Trump sees that there's so much opposition, including from his White House counsel. He understands that people would very likely resign. And so it seems that he reluctantly concludes that he's not going to declare martial law.
Instead, late that night after the meeting had broken up, the president turned to Twitter.
Statistically impossible to have lost the 2020 election. Big protest in D.C. on January 6th. Be there. Will be wild.
Dissatisfied with his options, Donald Trump decided to call for a large and wild crowd on Wednesday, January 6th, the day when Congress would meet to certify the electoral votes.
While he doesn't actually go ahead with martial law, he is embracing a path that is, in fact, radical anyway. He's not using the United States military, but he's summoning his own army of supporters to Washington, some of whom are known to be extremists and in some cases violent, to help him stay in office over the will of the voters.
It's Saturday, December 19th, and one of the most historic events in American history has just taken place. President Trump, in the early morning hours today, tweeted that he wants the American people to march on Washington, D.C. on January 6th.
This wildly inflammatory tweet was a bullhorn that immediately went out to some of the more violent, organized Trump supporters, the Oath Keepers.
He called us all to the Capitol and wants us to make it wild. Gentlemen, we are heading to D.C. Pack your...
The Proud Boys.
It's all or nothing, patriots. Boldness and bravery is necessary.
They heard it as a message from their leader. Come to Washington.
The Will Be Wild tweet was the call in a call and response. They mobilized to come to Washington. These individuals came to Washington because Donald Trump told them to be there, because Donald Trump told them the election was rigged, because Donald Trump told them that someone was trying to take their votes away from them and silence their voices. They believed it.
This could be Trump's last stand. And it's a time when he has specifically called on his supporters to arrive in D.C.
The time for games is over. The time for action is now. Where were you when history called? Where were you when you and your children's destiny and future was on the line?
For prosecutors, that tweet, the call to march on Washington, represents a crucial step in Trump's criminal conspiracy.
Jack Smith's theory is that that was part of the attempt to obstruct the proceedings on January 6th. That Trump wanted a large, at least boisterous, if not violent, crowd there to interfere with the proceedings, maybe stop them, put pressure on the people there. And that was one component of his obstruction.
After cultivating widespread anger and resentment for weeks with his knowingly false claims of election fraud, the defendant urged his supporters to travel to Washington on the day of the certification proceeding.
The special counsel is sort of situating it as this hinge where things sort of really start to go wrong. That shows that this was part of a plan. And if they can convince the jury of that, that's a huge portion of the ballgame.
In their filings, Trump's attorneys have argued that his statements were protected by the First Amendment.
The indictment therefore attempts to criminalize core political speech and political advocacy, which is categorically impermissible under the First Amendment.
There should be room under the First Amendment and otherwise for the president to say an awful lot without having to tag him with a criminal offense. And that's why there's a First Amendment. You're given a big amount of latitude to say a lot of wild and crazy, even stupid things without having to worry about somebody afterwards deciding that you should be sent to jail for it.
While prosecuting the president in an electoral context is new, prosecuting people for electoral fraud is not new at all. There are burdens of proof, there are legal tests, there are jury instructions, and if you can meet those elements, then you're outside of the protection of the First Amendment. This is not a novel legal theory here.
As January 6th approached, Trump refocused his efforts closer to home, at his own Department of Justice.
Today, we'll tell the story of how the pressure campaign also targeted the federal agency charged with enforcement of our laws, the Department of Justice.
Trump tried to weaponize the Department of Justice against our own democracy.
Bill Barr is the first one to stand up and say, no, I'm not going to do that. He steps aside, he resigns, and he's replaced by Jeff Rosen and Richard Donahue as a sort of a tag team here.
Rosen was a Republican political appointee who had served throughout Trump's administration. Donahue, also a Republican, had spent much of his career as a government lawyer in the Army and at the Department of Justice.
These are folks who were appointed by Donald Trump. They are aligned with him politically.
Pretty much every day after Barr left, Trump would call Jeffrey Rosen at the Justice Department or his deputy Richard Donahue and try to put pressure on them to get the department to go along with this narrative that there were serious questions about the integrity of the election.
Mr. Donahue, you had a conversation with the president where he raised false claim after false claim with you and Mr. Rosen. How did you respond to what you called a, quote, stream of allegations?
I wanted to try to cut through the noise because it was clear to us that there were a lot of people whispering in his ear, feeding him these conspiracy theories and allegations. As the president went through them, I went piece by piece to say, no, that's false. That is not true. And to correct him really in a serial fashion as he moved from one theory to another.
How did the president respond to that, sir?
He responded very quickly and said, essentially, that's not what I'm asking you to do. What I'm just asking you to do is just say it was corrupt and leave the rest to me and the Republican congressman.
He's saying, don't care about evidence, don't care about facts, just say this. And then I'm going to be able to use that to give people political cover to do what I want them to do, which is to overturn the vote.
I think that's a very unfortunate statement on the president's part, but it wouldn't be the first time that a president made a conscious decision to reject advice from his legal advisors, including the Department of Justice. Is that evidence of criminal misconduct? Could be. But sorting that out before a fair-minded jury, assuming that there's a fair-minded jury, is, I think, another question.
As it became clear Rosen and Donahue wouldn't go along, Trump looked for someone who would.
Trump turns to this mid-level Department of Justice employee, Jeff Clark, and he says, let's put him in as the acting attorney general.
He had been an environmental prosecutor. Clark's official role has nothing to do with anything involving election fraud. He had no business at all being involved in this.
Clark drafted a letter that would claim publicly that the department was concerned about serious allegations of election fraud, even though his superiors had said there was no such evidence.
That letter, of course, was never sent. Clark tried to push for it to be sent by sort of attempting to dethrone acting Attorney General Jeffrey Rosen.
According to testimony and evidence before the committee, Trump told Clark that he was going to fire Rosen and make him the new Attorney General.
Well, Clark makes an incredibly stupid mistake, which is that he tells Jeffrey Rosen, the acting Attorney General, that he is going to be replaced.
On Sunday the 3rd, he told me that the president had offered him the job and that he was accepting it.
Clark tells him, oh yeah, Trump is going to put me in. And he gives notice to his opponents. That's always a huge mistake in Washington or anywhere else.
Well, on the one hand, I wasn't going to accept being fired by my subordinate, so I wanted to talk to the president directly.
And there was another crazy White House meeting where Rosen, Donahue meet with Clark, the president, and other presidential advisors in the Oval Office for hours, fighting over whether Clark should be the Attorney General.
Jeff Clark was proposing that Jeff Rosen be replaced by Jeff Clark. And I thought the proposal was asinine.
He repeatedly said to the president that if he was put in the seat, he would conduct real investigations that would, in his view, uncover widespread fraud.
And when he finished discussing what he planned on doing, I said, good. Excuse me, sorry. Congratulations, you just admitted the first step or act you take as Attorney General would be committing a felony and violating Rule 6C. You're clearly the right candidate for this job.
And I said, that's right, you're an environmental lawyer. How about you go back to your office and we'll call you when there's an oil spill.
Mr. Donahue, did you eventually tell the president that mass resignations would occur if he installed Mr. Clark and what the consequences would be?
I said, Mr. President, within 24, 48, 72 hours, you could have hundreds and hundreds of resignations of the leadership of your entire Justice Department because of your actions. What's that going to say about you?
I don't want them to keep fucking me about.
In the end, that proves to be enough to stop Trump very reluctantly, from putting Clark in as his acting attorney general. Talk about a close call.
But for the January 6th committee and federal prosecutors, the pressure on the Justice Department was another part of the conspiracy.
He's trying to enlist as part of a scheme these officials of the Justice Department, lawyers, officers of the court, people who've taken an oath to uphold the rule of law, and they won't go along with it.
The defendant and co-conspirators attempted to use the power and authority of the Justice Department to conduct sham election crime investigations.
As with the pressure on state election officials, Trump's attorneys have argued that he was just doing his job.
Urging his own Department of Justice to do more to enforce the laws that it is charged with enforcing is unquestionably an official act of the president.
And the president is entitled to name anyone he wants as the Attorney General.
Deliberating about whether to replace the acting Attorney General of the United States is also a core presidential function.
Jack Smith has made that judgment that has crossed over the line into criminal conduct, but he's now going to have to prove that the president went over that line, whatever that line is.
My brother's working. I don't know how nobody else heard it. Literally just
Having called his supporters to come to Washington on January 6th, Trump turned his attention to a key player in his effort to stay in power, Vice President Mike Pence.
Today, we're focusing on President Trump's relentless effort to pressure Mike Pence to refuse to count electoral votes on January 6th.
The pressure campaign on Vice President Pence is the last gambit to keep Trump in power. I mean, basically, it's the last lever that they can pull to try and steal the election.
It was based on an obscure legal theory that the vice president had the power to overturn the election results.
Greg Jacob was counsel to Vice President Pence. He conducted a thorough analysis of the role of the vice president in the joint session of Congress under the Constitution. I now recognize the gentleman from California, Mr. Aguilar.
Mr. Jacob, did you go to the vice president's residences on the morning of January 6th?
Yes.
Did the vice president have a call with the president that morning?
He did. We were told that a call had come in from the president. The vice president stepped out of the room to take that call, and no staff went with him.
I'm getting up.
The president had several family members with him for that call. I'd like to show you what they and others told the Select Committee about that call, along with never-before-seen photographs of the president on that call from the National Archives.
When I entered the office the second time, he was on the telephone with who I later found out to be was the vice president.
Could you hear the vice president or only hear the president's end?
Only hear the president's end. At some point, it started off as a calmer tone and then became heated.
Donald Trump is focused on this idea that Pence, wielding the gavel on January 6th, could single-handedly overturn the election because he was presiding over this final certification of the electoral votes.
The conversation was pretty heated.
It's an extraordinary thing. A president pressuring a vice president this way, insulting him that way, a person who had been nothing but loyal to him through all those months and years.
Did Ms. Trump share with you any more details about what had happened?
Her dad had just had an upsetting conversation with the vice president.
It was a different tone than I'd heard him take with the vice president before.
I mean, I think she was uncomfortable over the fact that there was obviously that type of interaction between the two of them.
The word that she relayed to that the president called the vice president, I apologize for being impolite, but do you remember what she said her father called him?
The P word?
That pain is like,
Trump told Pence, you have a choice. You can either be a patriot or you can be a pussy.
I think the shock, yes.
Patriot means
Shock is
turn the election over to me. Being a pussy means being afraid to use your power.
just sit here and cry out and really let
Mr. Jacob, how would you describe the demeanor of the vice president following the call with the president?
I'm just stuck in something really good.
When he came back into the room, I'd say that he was
Don't do that at all.
steely, determined,
I gave up on myself.
grim.
I gave up on my own willpower.
In almost 4 years, it was the first serious break between Pence and Trump.
Donald Trump had every expectation that he would go along with him on this. Why wouldn't he? He'd done everything else up until now. Pence is a vice president who has been exceedingly loyal to Trump.
Right now,
For 3 years, 11 months, and however many days, Mike Pence never, ever broke with the president.
Now Pence had to make a critical decision.
Pence had just a clear conflict between what Trump wanted him to do and what the Constitution and the rule of law required him to do. I think he'd managed to navigate those conflicts in various ways over 4 years, not always, in my view, the right way. But this was such a blatant transgression.
Pivotal to the plan was this man, John Eastman.
Here's this law professor, a member of the Federalists. His role was to provide a sort of a pseudo-intellectual cover for legal arguments.
And he manufactures this theory of the vice president's power that says that the vice president of the United States is the ultimate arbiter on January 6th. Those are his words, the ultimate arbiter. And Trump fully endorses Eastman's plan.
Well, John Eastman was one of my law clerks. Perhaps 20, 25 years ago. I was greatly concerned that John had given the advice that he had given.
Judge J. Michael Ludick is one of the leading conservative legal thinkers in the country. He served in administrations of President Ronald Reagan and George H.W. Bush.
Judge Ludick had a kind of moral authority within the conservative community. A guy himself who had been shortlisted for the Supreme Court, was on a first-name basis with members of the Supreme Court.
Judge Ludick, I had the incredible honor of serving as one of your law clerks. Another person who did was John Eastman. And you've written that Dr. Eastman's theory is, in your words, incorrect at every turn.
Mr. Eastman said to the president that there was both legal as well as historic precedent for the vice president to overturn the election. This is constitutional mischief.
She's laying on the ground like
I would have laid my body across the road before I would have let the vice president overturn the 2020 election. I diagrammed his legal analysis from beginning to end and concluded that he was wrong at every turn of his analysis, every turn of his thinking.
Stop and help.
Judge Ludick, you wrote that the efforts by President Trump to overturn the 2020 election were, quote, the most reckless, insidious, calamitous failures in both legal and political judgment in American history. What did you mean by that?
And then I went to go fucking find some help.
Exactly what I said, Congressman.
White House lawyers had also warned about Eastman's theories. But Trump persisted, summoning the vice president to the Oval Office.
The Eastman plan. It was the last option for Donald Trump. January 4th, 2021, in the Oval Office, John Eastman, President Trump. They pull Vice President Pence in. He's joined by his aides, Greg Jacob and Mark Short.
I'm all out here by myself. No one's good.
Trump says to Pence in front of others, you have to now listen to John Eastman. You have to follow the Eastman plan. Object to the certification. It's a pressure campaign.
It's all about your will.
Pence says to Trump, I'm going to do what I can, Mr. President. I want to help you out, but I'm listening to my lawyers. He turns to Greg Jacob, his advisors, and he says, they're telling me I can't do it. I can't do it. It's not constitutional. It's not legal. Trump says you can do it. Listen to John.
Like, whoa, because I didn't know my wife.
Mr. Jacob, during that meeting between the president and the vice president, what theories did Dr. Eastman present regarding the role of the vice president in counting the electoral votes?
So during that meeting on the 4th, I think I raised the problem that Mr. Eastman's proposals would violate several provisions of the Electoral Count Act. Mr. Eastman acknowledged that that was the case.
Pence turns to Trump and says, are you listening to this? Do you hear this? But Trump isn't listening to that. He just is banging away on Pence. You're the guy who's going to keep us in power.
Pence stood firm.
This is a man who has been so loyal for so long. But I think at the end of the day, Mike Pence knew that he was going to uphold the Constitution. And he knew that he had no power to overturn and do the things that the president was saying.
The choice Mike Pence was facing was not really a choice. He had no choice to do anything other than count the votes that took place.
What step I missed.
But at this point, Donald Trump had surrounded himself with people who were feeding him more and more nonsense about how this process worked. It was just another situation of the president creating his own reality, deciding things that can happen that simply can't, and set Mike Pence up for the fall in a way that he had really no choice in what to do.
In my mind, I'm treating it like this was wrong.
The pressure on Pence figures prominently in the indictment of Trump.
The defendant and co-conspirators attempted to enlist the vice president to use his ceremonial role at the January 6th certification proceeding to fraudulently alter the election results.
John Eastman is listed as one of those unindicted co-conspirators, though he still defends the advice he gave the president.
Trump's interactions with Pence, direct and indirect, are crucial. They really go to showing that part of the way he obstructed justice was trying to wrongfully pressure Pence, who had an official task, not to undertake that task.
Is the fact that Donald Trump asked him to do that, is that criminal? Again, I think you got to be really careful there. I don't think that's something you want to make criminal, on its own. The mere ask to say, I want you to not certify the results. It doesn't necessarily mean that it was a violation of the criminal law. It depends on context and what other evidence the government has.
Whether or not a particular act that the president is alleged to have engaged in is in and of itself a crime isn't really going to be the question at that trial. It's going to be whether that act was in furtherance of a criminal objective.
If you do something was wrong.
All of these acts, all of the things that we've been talking about, they don't have to be illegal in and of themselves. The crime is a conspiracy to defraud the United States.
And thinking that, look, this looks like this. The crime is saying it out loud, really. That's what I think the crime is. Because he had doubt.
There's a lot of anticipation for today's hearings. The committee says it will present newly obtained evidence and testimony.
In the midst of the January 6th committee's hearings, a dramatic moment.
Live testimony from a White House advisor who was right there in the West Wing on January 6th.
A surprise witness.
During the Watergate hearings, there was only one surprise witness. It was Alexander Butterfield. Well, in the January 6th hearings, the surprise witness is Cassidy Hutchinson.
Cassidy Hutchinson, a 25-year-old White House staffer.
The most intimidating thing is all those cameras sitting 1 foot from her face taking pictures of her.
Oh my God, this shit right there. Wait, what's that?
This is a young woman standing in a setting that could almost feel amphitheatrical.
I was with Cassidy on the day of her testimony. During it, I'm sitting behind her. She was incredibly nervous. I think like any normal person would be to do this. There was a time beforehand where she wanted to back out because it was really scary to go up against the President of the United States and speak the truth is something that only a few people will know.
She was a hardcore Trump loyalist. And she's getting ready to destroy the tribe that she gets her identity from. I've been there, right? I've been in that moment. It was pretty awe-inspiring, to be quite honest with you.
I will now swear in our witness.
Knowing how Trump had become so intimidating a person for people who crossed him, and this one young woman doing what so many other much older, frequently male staffers wouldn't do, which is come forward and testifying truthfully under oath.
Whole truth and nothing but the truth. So help you God.
My favorite drill does the hearing.
Thank you. You may be seated.
I was asking questions.
Inside the White House, Hutchinson had been a top aide to Trump's chief of staff, Mark Meadows, and in the room during key events the committee was investigating.
Hutchinson was a crucial witness in terms of helping to shine a light on the president's state of mind because so few people were capable of doing that.
Hutchinson revealed details about Trump's plans for January 6th.
On January 2nd, 4 days before the attack on our Capitol, President Trump's lead lawyer, Mr. Giuliani, was meeting with White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows and others. Ms. Hutchinson, we understand that you walked Mr. Giuliani out of the White House that night, and he talked to you about January 6th. What do you remember him saying?
As Mr. Giuliani and I were walking to his vehicles that evening, he looked at me and said something to the effect of, "Cass, are you excited for the 6th? It's going to be a great day." I remember him saying, "Rudy, do you explain what's happening on the 6th?" He had responded something to the effect of, "We're going to the Capitol. It's going to be great. The president's going to be there. He's going to look powerful."
She clearly had nothing to gain by doing it. She was telling the truth as she saw it. This poised, composed young woman with no obvious axe to grind as she's telling her story, it's the most powerful moment, I think, in the entire hearings.
And I found Mr. Meadows in his office scrolling through his phone. I remember leaning against the doorway and saying, "I had an interesting conversation with Rudy, Mark. Sounds like we're going to go to the Capitol." He didn't look up from his phone and said something to the effect of, "There's a lot going on, Cass, but I don't know. Things might get real, real bad on January 6th.
Tensions are running high. 30,000 supporters of the president are gathering right now.
They're having what they're calling a Stop the Steal rally.
And on January 6th, Hutchinson was in the president's inner circle.
I think the campaign is aware that January 6th would be the last stand. Once that certification happens on the 6th, that it's really over.
Ms. Hutchinson, did you go to the rally in the presidential motorcade?
I was there, yes.
And were you backstage with the president and other members of his staff and family?
I was.
It was in the tent backstage that Hutchinson heard crucial evidence of what Trump knew about the potential for violence that day.
When we were in the offstage announced area tent behind the stage, he was very concerned about the shot, meaning the photograph that we would get because the rally space wasn't full.
The former president was unhappy with the crowd size. We learned that some of the crowd size inside the barricade was due to the fact that people were unwilling to pass through the magnetometers.
It's all money. It's all about the money.
Presumably because they were carrying contraband weapons.
Several thousand members of the crowd who refused to go through the mags watched from the lawn near the Washington Monument.
I overheard the president say something to the effect of, I don't effing care that they have weapons. They're not here to hurt me. Take the effing mags away. Let my people in. They can march to the Capitol from here. Let the people in. Take the effing mags away.
There was awareness that there were weapons in that crowd, and that Trump didn't care because, as he put it, they're not here for me. Which begs the question, well, who are they here for?
Let's reflect on that for a moment. President Trump was aware that a number of the individuals in the crowd had weapons and were wearing body armor. And here's what President Trump instructed the crowd to do.
We're going to walk down, and I'll be there with you. We're going to walk down. We're going to walk down anyone you want, but I think right here, we're going to walk down to the Capitol. And we fight. We fight like hell. And if you don't fight like hell, you're not going to have a country anymore.
He told them to fight over and over and over again. And he told them if they don't fight, you're not going to have a country anymore. What could be more existential to his supporters than, if I don't fight here and now, America's gone? That's what he's telling them.
And he focused the crowd on his last hope for overturning the election, Mike Pence.
And Mike Pence, I hope you're going to stand up for the good of our Constitution and for the good of our country.
He has not been able to convince Pence directly, but he's seeing the crowd for him there, and he was willing to continue the pressure campaign with an army.
And if you're not